Hello, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast, episode 273 or 63, I should say, 63. And these are game one recaps.
273.
It's 273?
Come on,
The
bro.
title's
We went back
wrong.
in time.
First time?
Oh,
We
look,
go
my
back in
goodness.
time.
look at me,
My
the time
goodness.
difference. It's so great. Hey, you don't even know the damn episode.
He went back in time so
I
got
far.
you.
We went back
Oh,
10
no.
episodes.
There
Listen,
we go.
well, it's 273. And throughout these NBA playoffs, what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be basically recapping these games that finish. So game ones essentially are going to end tonight. And game twos will end Wednesday. So it'll be live again midnight on Wednesday or somewhere around nighttime on Wednesday. And in between one of those, we'll probably do like a football podcast because, we can't forget about football. Football is very near dear to our hearts. So we can't forget about that. Now, how are you guys doing on this fine night? It's only 9 p.m. where I'm at, man. West Coast
How are you?
time. West
It's
Coast
midnight.
time.
It's midnight in New Jersey right now. Got work in the morning. Let's get this show going, man. We got a lot to talk about.
Let's line the hell up, man. Let's line the hell up.
Can we
Take
turn
the
injuries off?
Take a goddamn Red Bull.
I
Line
will
the
be
hell up.
eating
It's
during this
game one.
episode.
And now listen, the reason why this topic is going to be first on this show is because we need Drew to line the fuck up. Earlier, Drew on the playback was excited. He was screaming. He was tweeting about my silence on the on the playback. And now he's silent. So now we're going to start it off with Lakers and Grizzlies recap game one. Lakers won 128 to 112. So Drew, give us your tired analysis.
So, hopefully I sound all right. We know that we've been
Drew,
having
hold
some,
on, Drew.
some
Before you
technical-
go, happy birthday to our brother, Mr. Rippy over here. Before we go,
Great
we gotta
call.
give him a
Great
happy
call.
birthday shout out. Got 3 minutes left in the comments. See a happy birthday, Rip. But go ahead, Drew.
That's a great call out, Dehls.
Joel, I absolutely
That's what I'm
love
here
that.
for.
I'm happy that you could do that because Rivio Foreign absolutely deserves that recognition. A legend was born today. So happy birthday to you, King. So to talk about my Lakers, and yes, I am I was in a way more energetic state of mind prior. I wish you guys would have been there for that, or for those that are tuning in that didn't get a chance to watch the playback. I was euphoric. I had an amazing time. And it's always fun watching the playback with my buddy Joel Moran because he likes to get extremely what's the word I'm looking for? I guess he jumps
Animated?
the gun.
Animated?
No, he jumps the gun a little bit because he understands that. I guess he fails to understand that a game is 4 quarters. And when things start to go, his side's way early on, he tends to get a little bit excited, but he forgets who the Lakers are. We're a second half team. More importantly, a third quarter team. Since the trade deadline, we've been one of the best third quarter teams in the association. And it's a nice, fresh taste in my mouth for the sole fact that we were a garbage third quarter team last year and at the trade prior to the trade deadline. And now that we come out of halftime and we come out with energy, it's excellent to see, and it's been great to see us consistently do it. So of course I was ecstatic because I was told that this series is supposed to end in 5. So hey, if Joel firmly believes that the Grizzlies go 4 straight against the Lakers, hey, I'd be more than impressed. However, I just don't see that happening to the point where this is all I've been saying is with the Grizzlies, they lack size. We killed them on the glass today. What I also said very adamantly was that Anthony Davis was going to have to assert himself. And there was that brief moment where right before halftime, AD goes out. He has like a stinger in his arm. Thankfully, that's all that it was. But he comes back, and really what he was so amazing at was the defense. 7 blocks today. 7 blocks today, 3 blocks away from a triple-double. He was fantastic. 21, 11, 7, and 3 steals. Defensively, he was a menace. LeBron James, right? Everyone's starting off. He's not shooting the 3 ball that well. I think he started the game 1 for 6. Still ended up shooting 50% from the field, finished with over 20 points, had double-digit rebounds. It's a LeBron James game, but really what stole the show was Austin Reaves and Rui Hachimura. Rui Hachimura going 5 of 6 from 3, scoring 28 points, most points off the bench in Laker history. We watched history today on the playback. Not only just Rui Hachimura, but for the fact that Joel Moran, for the first time in my life, I saw him speechless. That was history to me. And, of course, Austin Reaves, Mr. Regular
Hey,
Reaves.
Drew,
right?
Drew. I'm sorry to cut you off, but do you not remember that Jets game where he was talking mad shit for the first half?
Oh, I was speechless for that. Yeah,
He was completely.
I was more
wasn't there.
speechless.
I wasn't there for that. There's nothing in my mouth. I don't know. People saying that there's something.
No, you said some wild shit earlier, but
We did say some nut shit.
Oh, did I? Oh, it's leaving a great taste in my mouth. You know, there's a bad taste in your mouth. There's a great taste in your mouth. Can you guys grow the fuck up for the love of Christ? Any which way, Austin Reaves, Mr. Regular Reaves, right? That's what we should start calling him, or really irregular Reaves, because that's what he actually is. When you actually tune in and you watch the tape, you understand who Austin Reaves is. And Riv, I know it's your birthday, but I'm sorry. It's 12 o'clock midnight. Your birthday's over. You're not getting a pass no more. It's time to be accountable, all right? Have some accountability in your life.
Jordan
because
Poole's
what you've done is done nothing but slander Austin Reaves' name, and all he did today was quiet you in his playoff debut because that was so important to you. So what did he do in the fourth quarter? He scored 14. What did he do? At one point, scored 9 straight points for the Lakers. It got to the point where everyone on the Lakers said, here you go, Austin. Close this one out for us, young king. Close this one out. Austin Reaves, right? And it's like someone was telling you that Austin Reaves was like that. And it was like someone was telling you that Rui Hachimura is a great role player. Ooh. It's like someone was telling you this for weeks now. But again, you guys refuse to listen. It's just a taste. Let's not get excited. It's game one. But I'm telling you, today was, oh, I bet you do. Today was just putting you guys on notice to understand that the Lakers are better and have been better than what you guys are giving them credit for all along. So again, let's not count our chickens before they hatch. It's game one where we looked great. I'm ecstatic. Defense looked fantastic. Offense looked really good. And they're scoring 30 points in the first quarter when LeBron James when LeBron James wasn't even cooking like that. We had an amazing game all around. I couldn't have asked for anything better. Jaren Jackson killed. To talk about the Grizzlies real quick, Jaren Jackson killed. He did his thing. Did not matter. Jaren Jackson could do whatever he wanted today. But really what it came down to is, of course, that injury to Ja at the end of the game. That was brutal. But we did a great job even prior to the injury of limiting Ja Moran, of taking away his floaters. What his favorite thing is to drive to the basket, let that floater go. We did a great job of limiting that. Vandal did an excellent job defensively on him. But really what it came down to was Anthony Davis and how amazing he was defensively. But the 2 stars, Austin Reaves and Rui Hachimura.
Now, Riv, I understand you got called out. And let's just to clarify something. Jordan Poole had 30 points in his playoff debut.
Oh, how are you going to steal what I was going to say?
I'm sorry. I just feel like that needed to be mentioned. You know, the guy that you've been shitting on all season.
Did I mention Jordan Poole?
I don't think you did, though.
Oh, you said Austin Reaves is better than Jordan Poole in your tweet. Yeah, and Poole had a better debut at a younger age. Now,
I like the vibe.
Out of the 10 minutes that you've talked,
just real quick, Jordan Poole also had 31 against the Memphis Grizzlies.
Nice,
the same team he played.
Nice.
31.
Nice. Good job, Riv. I appreciate that. Now,
guy told me to liven up. So I spoke for 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes that you spoke, the thing that you did not mention is that this series is already over. Ja Morant's hand injury makes this series over. I think it's pretty clear. He fell on that right wrist, and I understand it's just game one, but the biggest thing about it is that this is the same right wrist Ja Morant shoots with. It's his dominant hand. And if Ja Morant is not hitting jump shots, it allows the Lakers to go under more screens, and that makes it tougher to get into the paint. And I think his injury, the severity of it, definitely can cost the Grizzlies this series. The biggest takeaway for the Lakers is that Rui had an out-of-body performance, 29 points, 5 for 6 from 3. The Grizzlies were leaving him open for a reason because he's an average 3-point shooter. He just happened to hit those shots. I still believe that moving forward, the Grizzlies will be happy with those shots being taken. They'd rather run the risk of doubling AD and having him kick out and letting Rui hit an open 3 than having one-on-one matchups with Anthony Davis. And Austin Reaves had 14 points in the fourth quarter. He finished with 23. I do think that the Austin Reaves exposure in the fourth quarter, the reason why LeBron deferred to him was, one, because I think he trusts him, and I think, Austin Reaves is a good player. There's no doubt about it. I also do think that because Dillon Brooks was the matchup on LeBron, they wanted to hunt Tyus Jones, and it was pretty clear. Every play in the fourth quarter was a screen trying to get the switch onto Tyus Jones because Desmond Bane was guarding Reaves, and they were successful in that because every time Tyus Jones got hit by a screen, he was trailing on the play, and that left it 2-on-1 on the offensive end, and that's why Reaves took over. And then the one time that Bane goes under a screen, Reaves hits a 3 and makes him pay. Based off of one game that I'm seeing from the Lakers, I think that the playoff rotation is pretty solidified. It's D'Lo, Reaves, Braun, AD, Rui if he plays well, and Schroeder. Vando's there in his spot minutes. He only played 23 minutes, but Ja played 30. So, you're only not getting Vando minutes on Ja for 7 minutes of the game, which is more than doable. It's manageable. And D'Lo finally had a good playoff game. It only took him until his 12th playoff game to do it, but he had a very good playoff game, 19-4-7. So the Lakers got D'Lo, Reaves, and Rui great performances. And if you have that with LeBron and AD playing well, especially for the Grizzlies, it's hard to beat this team. And for the Grizzlies, Ja's injury craters their chances of winning this series. And the Steven Adams and Brandon Clark absences were bigger than I thought, because while Tillman did a good job on Anthony Davis, he only played 22 minutes. And the reason he only played 22 minutes was because he can't space the floor. So when he's out there, you have Ja and you have Tillman, two guys that you don't really have to respect as shooters like that, and that limits your offense. And then when he's out the game, you have these Santi Aldama minutes at the 5, and then they become really small. And the three bench players for the Grizzlies, Tyus Jones, Luke Kennard, and Santi Aldama, were all getting targeted. Tyus Jones specifically, he was really the culprit of the targeting, especially in the fourth with Austin Reaves. But Santi Aldama, when he's playing small out there at the center position, you have to double AD, and that leaves more shooters open. So unless they can get more shooting, consistent shooting from the role players, I think that, as long as Ja is healthy, let's assume like he's healthy, they definitely need to be more physical in terms of rebounding the ball. And I think that, I don't necessarily not like their game plan, because I would leave Rui open too. Like, I would do it too. He just happened to make 5 or 6 threes, which I don't believe that's a reoccurring theme in these playoffs. I don't. I think it's an out-of-body performance.
I said it before. I'm going to say it again. Role players are just so important, and we're going to talk about it throughout this whole preview. We saw it with the Lakers. Rui Hachimura, D'Lo, Austin Reaves, 3 of their key role players, Dennis Schroeder, like three of their key role players came to play. Even though Rui may not ever do it again, you just need your role players to do it for 1 or 2 games out of a stretch. Especially with LeBron not playing as great as we're used to him playing. We know he's going to come back, play great next game. AD also. So as long as you get that out-of-body experience for 1 or 2 games, that's fine. That's what a role player is for. And I talked about it before. Role players are so huge. And when you got guys like that can step up for you in the absence of the stars playing great, that leaves so much. That gives so much wiggle room. And then defensively, like you mentioned, I thought the Lakers were sound defensively. Vando did a great job on Ja Morant. Did as best job as you could. Ja Morant is one of the best players in the league. Desmond Bane down the stretch worries me. And he worries me when he's the number 1 guy. That's when he worries me. And that's why this Ja Morant injury, I think, first of all, prayers to Ja. Hope he's better. I forgot to say that.
Doubt.
Definitely prayers to Ja. We don't want to see no injuries in the playoffs. But that's what worries me the most. Desmond Bane, when he's the number 1 down the stretch in the clutch, it doesn't look good. It really doesn't look great. And I don't expect Rui to do that again either. But now you have to be a little bit more hesitant, because maybe it might not be 5 or 6, but it could be 1 or 2. That's still going to be impactful in the game. That's still going to hurt. But Desmond Bane down the stretch, Jaren Jackson played amazing.
I was going to say, to be honest with you, I thought Jaren was the one down the stretch.
No, Jaren really came crazy. Is amazing. I expect Jaren to continue to play like that as long as he's hunting for mismatches, taking advantage when AD is not guarding him. That's what you should do. That's what you need to do. And now the weight becomes on his shoulders even more, because we said it before this game even started. He is the most important player of the series, simply for the fact that he has to do so much for Memphis on offensively and defensively. Now that becomes even heightened with Ja Morant possibly missing some times. Now on the glass, he doesn't really have help. He's a defensive anchor. He's a defensive roamer. Now he has to be one of your top scorers. It's going to be tough. I think I also, because of the Ja Morant injury, have to kind of switch over and think the Lakers would win this series. Just unfortunately, the Ja Morant injury really hurts. It makes it, because if they lose this game, it would be different if they was in LA first 2 games, but now you possibly could lose Memphis, and then you got to go back to LA with no Ja Morant. That's just such a tough thing to overcome. And all that whole regular season, they played great without him. This is the playoffs. It's a different animal. You need your star player when it's done. I thought Kennard gave good minutes down the stretch, even though he was getting hunted. He 3 for 2. He can hit you with a bomb for 3 ball. That's something you want. I thought he played well. To speak about the Lakers for a second, Austin Reaves did have a great game. I think nobody's disputing it. I think he played amazing. It's very weird that, not you, Drew, it's very weird that Lakers fans, when Austin Reaves plays great, they like to bring up Jordan Poole. I don't know. It's a fetish. They must like him. It's very weird. You can just praise him, say Reaves played great. I don't know how they bring Poole up every time, but Reaves had an amazing game. Rui came to play. He showed up. He just earned himself more minutes. D'Lo, I don't know why Joel hates him all of a sudden, but D'Lo
suddenly he's one of his least favorite players in the association.
D'Lo finally had a game.
You mean the same way that he was one of your most hated, Drew, and now he goes to the Lakers, and now you like him?
On my team.
I don't think it's that surprising of a concept to grasp.
I admit that. I say, hey, I didn't fuck with D'Lo, but now he's on my team. I accept him with open arms.
I get it.
But we also have to sit here and say that a lot of people.
Hey,
Joel, come on, I'm talking. I think it's very easy to say that people were down on D'Lo. People were even saying that Schroeder should start. That's how bad he was against the Timberwolves, that people didn't want him to start this game against the Grizzlies. I was adamant. I said, hey, D'Lo's been amazing for us ever since we acquired him. We have to trust and ride with our guy. And he validated me today because he was exceptional. Where he started off slow, it did not allow him to get in his own mind. He kept shooting himself out of it, and he ended up with a great game, facilitating very well and scoring pretty efficiently.
I don't think it's a hard concept to understand that a player that I like goes to a team I dislike, and now I'm not as high on that player.
But why do you hate them?
It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science.
Why do you hate the Lakers? Why?
What's it like?
Yeah, they're
LeBron
annoying.
James, Anthony Davis,
Doesn't
Austin Reaves. Oh, I bet.
I've never been a LeBron James fan.
You know,
neither have I.
You know what's funny, Joel? And you know what? I'm sorry to you, Riv, also, because I singled you two out. When in reality, Joel should have got a little bit too, because when we were on the playback, Joel had the audacity to tell me that he didn't even think the Lakers deserved to be a playoff team. In his opinion, they're not even a playoff team. Right? And he thought he was slick, thinking that I wasn't there. Immediately turned my camera and my microphone on to let him know he's caught.
Yeah, so go ahead, I mean, they made the play-in. You know, you're a playing team, you could get bounced out. You're a borderline playoff team. Listen, this Lakers team without Ja Morant should be able to get past the Grizzlies with ease. This should be a 5-game series. Maybe it's a sweep without Ja Morant. I mean, listen, we talked about it on the pregame, or I guess before the series started, and I got all this hell for giving both sides of the story. But the biggest reason I like this matchup for the Lakers, even though I picked the Grizzlies, was because the Grizzlies offensively, they could be beat. It's not like this is a Grizzlies offense that you're going to be fearing. It's not a Grizzlies offense that you think can shoot 40% from three and is going to hit 23s, and the Lakers aren't going to be able to catch up. That's why I like this matchup for them, because in a world where this Lakers defense has been carrying them the second half of the season, you just need to be good offensively. You don't need to be great, spectacular. You just need to be good. And today was probably their best offensive game I've seen from this unit, maybe all season long. I mean, you make 16 threes on 43% from three. I can't remember the last time I've seen the Lakers shoot that well from three. Obviously, you guys mentioned how great Moran was, 4 for 5. Yeah, and they just, I mean, it felt like everything was going in, especially that second half and down the stretch in the fourth quarter. The role players were huge, as you guys have mentioned too. And then really the rebounding and the physicality that came from the Lakers side was evident pretty early on. I mean, we talked about the size mismatch that Xavier Tillman and Jaren Jackson are really the only players above 6'8" in their rotation. In the Lakers, you have basically everybody is 6'8" outside of like D'Lo and Reaves. Like everyone's just huge on that team. So this is the series has changed now. You know, Ja Morant's going to miss probably at least one game. He said there's a chance he'll play game 2. But kind of just off his energy and his vibe, he was saying after the game how he's had to go through all of this shit this season. A lot of it his fault, but all the stuff he's had to go through this season, and now he has this injury pop up right in the playoffs. I think he went out sometime in the third or fourth quarter, and now you get a team that's a decent offensive team, you know, mediocre at best. Now you're losing your most explosive player. If they're not able to get out in transition, not able to get easy buckets on the fast break, that makes it even harder for them to score in the half-court setting, especially like Riv mentioned, when Desmond Bane is your number one option. Even though Jaren Jackson was really the number one option, if it's Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane, that's just not really a serious playoff offensive duo, with all due respect to those guys when you're going up against some of the best offensive players and best players in the game, especially even though the Lakers didn't have a great games from AD and LeBron. It was really the role players carrying them. It just shows that when things are clicking for the Lakers, they could keep up with anybody. I think this series, like I said, changes. If I had to, change my pick, I go to the Lakers now with the jaw injury. But obviously, this is puts a much bigger emphasis on, I think the future of the Lakers for this playoff run, that you almost could overlook the Grizzlies in a sense, and you could kind of take a peek to that second round when you can be playing a completely different team, whether that's the Warriors or the Kings. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, Drew, but let's be honest here. There's no reason the Lakers should lose this series, but it's going to be fun to see how the rest plays out.
Yeah, this game was a roller coaster of excitement, pain, more excitement, hope as a Grizzlies fan, rooting for them, and then more pain, of course, when Ja, 5 minutes left, looks like he broke his hand. He may or not have. I thought the Grizzlies were winning this game. When in the second quarter, they go on a huge run. They get turnovers. They're making huge plays. Luke Kennard's getting offensive rebounds. And then it all hit the fan in the third quarter. And one thing I did try telling you guys is, while I don't trust many of the Lakers role players like D'Angelo Russell, he's going to be streaky. Austin Reaves is a playoff player. Like, to have him as a third or fourth piece on a starting lineup, we saw in this matchup, he's one of the best wings in the game attacking closeouts. And I think to the pass to Rui Hachimura, I mean, that was some Steve Nash shit behind his back, forward extending. I mean, it looked like a pretty good player in that game. Though. And he was finishing through contact. What we're seeing from Austin Reaves is he is the third best player on a contender right now, which I did tell you guys. And a lot of people are trying to pray my downfall. They're hating on me. They're trying to bury me. The reality is he is their point guard. He is their point guard. D'Angelo Russell is their shooting guard, and he's going to close more games. He's going to start all these games. He's going to continue to play. And when he's making 3 or 5 3-pointers, he's a guy that can't be played off the floor. He has the versatility. And to now think that Ja may miss game 2, I mean, this shit's going to get ugly fast. The Grizzlies lose their offensive and defensive rebounding. In transition, I wanted them to run this game, run. And Anthony Davis and LeBron had 10 total blocks, so they couldn't really do that too well. The shot selection was spotty, and it felt like a little bit of a big brother, little brother matchup in some instances where Desmond Bane was 6 of 18. Dylan Brooks' shot selection was poor. This was a pretty bad game for me.
Another year of your team not winning a ring. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, the Nuggets right now are beating the crap out of the Timberwolves.
Yeah, he's a Grizzlies.
Well, John, I appreciate your support for the Grizzlies. I know that you had to wear a Grizzlies colored T-shirt on the podcast today. And ultimately, you're right. The transition was a big thing. The Grizzlies need to get transition points. They're a transition-reliant offense. And when they only have 17 transition points in the game, it limits them a lot. Because in a half court, we see their struggles. It's either a Jaren Jackson post touch or a high pick and roll with Ja. And if Anthony Davis is hedging on the screens, then it really limits Ja's drives, and you don't really trust kicking out to shooters all that well. So I understand where you're coming from. But ultimately, I think you're right. If Ja is missing this series and is injured for this series, I think if he's just injured, even his presence with a broken right wrist, with a hampered right wrist, your shooting hands.
It's not broken. X-rays are negative.
They were negative, but even
right.
if your wrist is hampered and you shoot with it, for an already historically non-shooter, it's going to be very difficult to come back from that. And it's going to be rough for the Grizzlies half-court offense specifically. If they can get lucky in transition and really thrive in that area for the series, then the tide might change. But given how playoff basketball is more so half-court oriented, then it's a big concern for Memphis, and I don't trust any player outside of Ja, really. I think Jaren Jackson had a great offensive game, but I don't trust him at all.
I don't know if he's going to drop 30 all series.
He got 38 minutes in.
Last 2 things I'll say about the topic, and then we can move on. You mentioned it. Steven Adams and Brandon Clark missing are huge, because last year what we saw was that when Ja Morant went out, they still had a pretty healthy team. Of course, you lose Ja Morant, but they still were able to have success with Steven Adams, with Brandon Clark, and then Tyus Jones taking over point guard responsibilities. I think now where, yes, Tyus Jones becomes the liability defensively, offensively, he still is able to get things going and initiate an offense. It'll be interesting to see that. But second thing I want to say is, it's even more unfortunate. Of course, one, Ja's a star in this game. You never want to see a star go down ever, regardless of what it is. It hurts in this scenario, but even more so because now it's taking away from the Lakers and how great they looked. And it hurts me because now it's giving you guys an out. It's giving you guys an out to now automatically flip to the Lakers. And it's so quick how every single one of you guys did it.
It's a respect.
Which is understandable.
They're losing their best player.
Again, hey, I'm not saying you're wrong.
3 of their top 7 guys, Drew.
Say it one more time. 3 of their top 7.
No, you can't use Adams, John. You can't use Adams.
No, because I meant
I can't use Adams.
You picked Memphis even with Adams not playing. You knew that.
Correct.
You can't do that.
Correct.
But it's Ja now. It's different. It's Ja.
No, yeah, Ja's respectable. Yeah.
I mean, Drew, what's the difference between?
It hurts.
What's the difference?
It just gives you guys an excuse to now pick the Lakers. You guys were very adamant that we weren't going to win.
Player. What are we supposed to do?
I'm not
like, oh no, the Desmond Bain-led Grizzlies.
I'll say Memphis. If you want me to stay on Memphis, I'll stay on Memphis.
No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying it hurts a little bit more. Outside of the obvious that he is a star and you never want to see star injured.
I get it.
No, but exactly.
Yeah, I get
exactly.
it. You wanted to take the bragging rights. You wanted the bragging rights.
No doubt. I'm not even gonna say that's not true because that is 100% a fact.
So what you're basically saying in this all is that you want the Grizzlies to be healthy. So if the Lakers beat them fully healthy, there's nothing that we can rely on.
I get it.
Is that crazy? No.
I'm just sorry, but I didn't. I just needed to dissect your little sentences there.
I mean,
it kind of sounded more like you just wanted us to stick with Memphis so we don't flip.
Not at all. Not at all. No, it's understandable you flip. You lose Ja Morant. No duh. The momentum is going to the other side. The obvious decision would be to choose the other team. But of course, in this one specific scenario where you guys were all hating on the Lakers, I would have liked to see them at full strength against us.
I think the biggest thing is that basically with Adams and Clark out, and I think it's more so Adams, is that if they're healthy, the Grizzlies are healthy, you have Adams and Jaren Jackson starting the game on AD, and then your backup big minutes are Tillman and Clark versus now it's Aldama and David Roddy. You know, he got some minutes, and even then he's a wing. So that's really the biggest difference is that you're going from 2 serviceable big men to 2 serviceable big men to now you're going from 2 serviceable defensive big men to wings, basically, off the bench that you can't guard big men.
If the Grizzlies are at full strength, they won this series.
Ooh, yeah, I'm glad you feel that way.
NPC Santos.
What does that matter to me? That's just the NBA.
Yeah, the NBA. We'll never know. Maybe.
How was the tweet, Drew?
The Heat just.
No, it's the second year.
Oh, it was very good. It was very good.
Also, fuck the Celtics.
Damn.
No, and I'll tell you what's lit is that Santos and I are back to being boys. He's on to now it's a him and Joel thing.
Don't got no problem.
Senpai NFT, LeBron the GOAT, Reaves over Poole, Bucks are frauds, KD's scared of the last shot, plus Ayton gets paid $30 million to let guards rebound over him. Shai is not ready yet.
It's a lot to dissect.
I loved absolutely everything. Bucks are frauds. That's not a fair statement. That's not a fair statement. We're going to talk about it later. Shai not ready yet. It was a tough go around, especially with the bigs that the Wolves had.
They overachieved regardless.
NPC Santos, $50 super chat. Happy birthday, Riv. Warriors in 6.
That was Santos, man.
Stand tall.
Josh Boateng. First pot I've caught live in a minute. Love the work the whole team been putting in. PAS on top.
Josh, thank you.
Looks like a DJ. Like he's a DJ. Nice.
RJ to God. Hey, fellas. I feel that Moran would rather see the Knicks get swept first round rather than seeing the Warriors, Celtics, or especially the Lakers make deep playoff runs. Love the pod, by the way.
Low key.
The only team is the Lakers that I would hate. I'll pick the Warriors to make the finals last year to win it. Obviously, I don't hate them.
I love that I live rent free in that big ass noggin of yours.
No, it's the listen. I don't like Lakers. You know?
Yeah, I bet.
Nothing to do with Drew.
No way. It's as simple as that.
Nothing to do with Drew.
It's because I have a nice little studio apartment in that head of his.
Well, ultimately, the Lakers are not winning the championship. So, according to Drew's logic, if they don't win the championship, then the season is a failure ultimately. So,
it is. I never say otherwise.
So ultimately the Lakers won't win because listen, Dehls, your Celtics would beat the brakes off them. We know that.
I gotta hate on Drew, so I'm gonna try and boast up someone that I've been hating on.
Let's go Boston, baby. Let's go Boston, baby.
Like you're gonna allow that, Joel. You feel good. That's the guy you side with.
Lake Show.
That's the guy you side with.
I'm bleeding green. Listen, Dehls, we bleed green with the Jets. Bleeding green with the Celtics, baby. Let's go. If they face the Lakers, we're bleeding green, baby.
Ronnie, you cool?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great response, John. Moving
on. Okay. What the fuck?
Christopher D. Joel, I was wrong on the Knicks. You got it, big bro. He also goes, I had a guy tell me LeBron got carried tonight, but if LeBron took those shots instead of letting hot hand eat, he doesn't make his teammates suffer.
I like that.
Kamarion Bib. Grizzlies still win. Joel, unblock me on Twitter.
Screaming.
I don't know why I blocked you. I probably blocked you for a reason.
It's not getting unblocked.
Yeah, not getting unblocked.
Yeah, I blocked one guy on Twitter. His ad name is Goat Mahomes.
Might be him.
He has a Patrick Mahomes profile picture. Yeah, he's the most annoying Twitter guy. So there's a lot of annoying Twitter people, but I let it rock. But his tweets were just like, all right, dude, shut up. And I just blocked him. So I was good. Now, Athletic Greens, before we go on to the next topic, if you're looking for a comprehensive solution in what you need for your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/pickaside. That's athleticgreens.com/pickaside. You can go check it out. It's really been helping Drew's digestive system. He's somebody that before the pod, he usually has to go to the bathroom really bad. And since Athletic Greens has sponsored us, those bathroom trips have been far, far less. I haven't been witnessing them. The smell and the stench in my bathroom afterwards is not as apparent. And I think, you just got to thank AG1 for that. AG1 has been amazing for Drew's digestive system.
I'll tell you what, I'll tell a quick funny story I'll never forget. Before the show, my stomach was absolutely cooking. It was like one of the first times I ever went to the bathroom in the studio. I pop out of the bathroom and Reaves starts violating me. He starts violating me. And I was like one of those, it's like, listen, bro, it is what it is. I know that I went crazy in that bathroom. So I was like, bro, you have to get up and spray, bro. I was like, y'all really going to gaslight me over this right now? But now he's right. He's not lying.
Now, because I'm an unbiased analysis, I was looking on Mojo earlier, and I saw this Austin Reaves stock. In the last month, he's up 20%. He went up $3 with today's performance alone. And you know what? At $77, which if you're not familiar with Mojo, that price is basically like bottom of the bench player price.
Invest.
Him at $77 is a steal. He probably is going to be above 100, when next season comes around. So right now is definitely a great time to invest in. Let's say the Lakers get as far as the second round, which is possibly likely. Then he has a couple games to definitely raise up that share price.
He's going to get paid this offseason.
If only someone told you months ago before his price was $77 to invest in him. If only.
I'll tell you what, I can't wait for Poole versus Reaves, man. It's time.
You want that?
Maybe we see round two.
Here's the thing. Teams look for Poole on offense. They seek him out. They don't do that to Poole.
Teams also defend Poole a lot differently than they defend Reaves.
John, tell him they don't do that to.
You can't play all teams off the floor, Rev. You can play Jordan Poole off, and he's not going to play the Nuggets every series either. So.
I get it. He played the Grizzlies at 30, but yeah, word.
Shout out to my boy Mike. He got you tight. I saw that. Either you took the bait or he was spitting facts. He said that we got to stop comparing two-way players to guys that can average 20 points just because they average 20 points or just because they can get 20 points in a game. What is your opinion on that, Riv?
What was it?
He said that we got to stop comparing two-way players to guys that can just average or get you 20 points a game. He said guys like Poole, guys like Maxey, and guys like Hero.
I guess it depends because it really depends.
I'm very big on two-way, so that's why I'm posing the question to you.
It doesn't matter. Overall, the better player is the better player.
I think it depends on what you
arguably, you could say that it's AR. You could arguably say that. And I would say that.
I don't know. Poole has shown the ability to engine an offense for a long stretch of time. I don't know.
Poole as a starter averages 26 again, 27 again.
Yeah, that's been
how quickly they forgot.
And what are those efficiencies too? What are they looking like?
Definitely efficient. He's not God efficiency, but he's definitely efficient. I would say like
over the last 2 weeks, you could talk to me about Poole and his efficiency. He's been phenomenal the entire season. And Riv at the minimum has been very honest. His efficiency has not been there.
Nah, not this year.
I just feel like,
I just think people forget last year.
Last year was OD.
It's unfair. It's unfair to judge Jordan Poole off of last year's breakout plus this year where he's more inefficient to Reaves just 1 year breakout. Like,
Reaves
definitely
was doing his thing last year.
He was not Jordan Poole though.
Of course not.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think at least we have to see Reaves get paid, see him in a different system. Because
I don't want to see him get
who
paid,
knows if he leaves the Lakers, because he might be outpriced
bag.
stuff from LA right now.
He's going to get a bag, bro.
I just think personally.
Are you hoping and praying he gets out of there so you can root for him?
Tough.
Austin Reaves?
Yeah.
I've been a big fan since the Oklahoma Sooners, man. He's
Yeah,
the top scorer in the country.
You're done.
When I was scouting him versus Cade Cunningham.
He was not the top scorer in the country.
You're done.
He was a top scorer at Oklahoma.
John, handle this for me, please. Handle this.
I don't know about that one.
He averaged 17 to 20 a game, bro.
I just think the discourse on Poole has been really, really funny.
It's been sloppy. I'm not going to say wrong.
It's been nasty. I mean, like the flip from last year, then he gets money, then he gets punched on. Then this year, it's just been very, very odd.
Why'd you have to throw the punch in?
Because I think that's a part of
it's essential. It's imperative.
It showed like
Discord. He was like, people were like watching him ascend. He was doing good things in the playoffs, and he didn't play good in the finals. That was a bad matchup for him. He didn't play that well, but he had a good year, and then people are pretty much giving up on him. Like, he's not still like 23 years old. It's really, really odd.
My big thing with Poole has always been that I just think that he's a little bit overrated. I never said he's a bad player. I just think that people put him where I don't believe he should be at. That's all my gripes ever been with him. But also,
he had the game 2 finals performance too. You don't win game 2 without him. But I think Riv, part of the reason why is because he plays off Steph Curry, and their skill sets align so well. He's a force multiplier. It's like, I don't know, pairing up Miles Sanders with Jalen Hurts on an elite offensive line. Not that Jordan Poole in this instance is Miles Sanders. He's better, but it's the fact his surroundings elevate him greatly as a player. The system, Draymond, Steph. Whereas Austin Reaves, he is more versatile. He can't really, you can't play him off the floor. And so while he's not as volatile a scorer, it's like, okay, well, what's going to play more in the postseason? To me, right now, Austin Reaves is a more reliable player on the floor.
But where's the evidence in that? You got one game of evidence where Jordan played.
Riv, hold up.
It's in the playoffs.
Hold up, Riv. Haven't we seen Jordan Poole be the main engine on Golden State when Steph was out last year?
We've seen it twice, last year and this year.
And they also won games, Joel.
But they did win games. They were actually 500 without Steph.
Last year in 2022, they were not.
Okay, but this year they were 500 when Jordan Poole
was because Klay Thompson was on absolute steam.
So now, okay, so Steph and Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, but Anthony Davis and LeBron don't help Reaves. That's what I'm being told right now.
Who said that? Who said that? That's not the truth?
How are we going to be? How are we going to knock Poole for playing with Curry and Klay?
John, I have a question. Do you think Reaves gets guarded like Jordan Poole when they're both the number one guy?
No, not at all.
So does that not equate to, because you're talking about versatility, does that not equate to the fact that the defense is looking at Poole a lot more differently than they look at Reaves?
No, a lot more attention's going on Jordan, but in terms of what Austin can do off the ball, attacking closeouts, making secondary reads and reactions, and also at the same time playing on the ball, running 10, 15 pick and rolls if you need him to, he can play on the ball. He is the Lakers point guard right now. And Jordan the Lakers are showing they can be a final 18 at minimum. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty valuable for a second-year guard. He's 24 years old, yes, but I mean, for him to be a secondary playmaker that's actually Lakers' main point guard, that's pretty versatile to me.
Listen, I think all the things you're saying about Reaves are sound. I think you're right in your analysis, but at the same time, you're trying to diminish Jordan Poole. Like, he's just as good as attacking closeouts, Jordan Poole is, and he's just as good off the ball. Jordan Poole is very good off the ball as well.
No, he is. He's gotten a lot better. That's what made him so special last year. But it's the inconsistency with Poole, and what would he look like in a different system? That's the $1 million question.
You can argue he could look better. You can argue that if he's the primary option,
his numbers really probably look nasty, looking like 25 points. I don't really care for the other system. I want him in a winning situation.
Yeah, 25 points per game on 41% from the field.
Yeah, that's.
And Drew, when you said Poole is overrated, I think that's an unfair statement because most of it is coming from comparing Poole to Steph. Everyone is going to be overrated if you're comparing someone to Steph.
Well, there you go. That's my gripe.
If someone compares Dame to Steph, you're overrating Dame.
Ooh.
Is that not a fact?
Wow. Are you going to say that Dame and Poole in that sense are compared?
I'm just saying.
If you compared Poole to Dame, that's overrating Jordan Poole.
Yes, it is, because Dame's a top point guard, but we should not be comparing Poole to these top end superstar guys. Why are we comparing
that's
him
why
to them?
people do that, and that's why I have an issue.
But I don't do that. You always
Yeah,
bring him up
because
to
I'm
me.
not talking to you. I'm not talking about you.
But you always
I
bring.
never
You always bring up.
I know because you
You're
love
the Warriors
Jordan Poole.
guy.
Yeah, exactly. You love Jordan Poole. You love the Warriors.
But I've always said
It
Poole
just comes with it.
is in the Maxi Hero Simon.
And I've never ever had an issue with you and your respect and love for Jordan Poole. It's everyone else that talks to me and tells me that Jordan Poole was the second coming of Steph Curry. He's the one that's going to take the keys to Golden State. That's where you lose me. Let's move on to the next topic before Santos has a heart attack.
Kings and Warriors. The Kings won 126 to 123. And this game was not a shocker to me because every game this season outside of the last matchup, because the Kings didn't play their guys, was this close of a game. And the chart that John so disrespectfully deleted actually favored the Kings in this game because the chart looked like Golden State really taking advantage the entire game. And guess what? It just, in the fourth quarter, what did the Kings do? That late third quarter, they just took the damn game over. So, John, thank you for deleting that chart because I was about to pull it up right now because that chart it does wonders. Now, the Sacramento Kings, De'Aaron Fox, 38 points, tied second most five player in the playoff debut. He was historic. He was spectacular. He was the best player on the floor that featured Steph Curry in this game. That's how good De'Aaron Fox is. I've been saying it all season. De'Aaron Fox is waiting for the playoffs to showcase his greatness. And although he's been in the league for a while, I think De'Aaron Fox has always been this good, and this could have been his breaking out party and showing the entire NBA world, I have been this good. But Sacramento has just been this bad as an organization, and he hasn't gotten to showcase it. Then you have Malik Monk going for 32. Fox and Monk, the backcourt of Kentucky, goes for 70. And that production was all you needed, and it was much needed because the starters didn't get much production. Sabonis was 5 for 17 after a great, phenomenal first quarter. In the first quarter, it looked like he was going to have a like 20, 16, and 10 game. But then he slowed down. Kayvon Looney and Draymond played phenomenal defense. I do think that a lot of the shots that Sabonis missed, he possibly makes in game 2 and games later on in this series. But then Kevin Huerter, 0 for 5. Keegan Murray 0 for 3 from 3. They didn't get production from their starters, at least offensively. And the bench really negated that because Malik Monk goes for 32. Trey Lyles had 16 and he was hitting threes. He was rebounding the ball well. Alex Len, somebody who just recently got minutes, but that's the really why Mike Brown is the coach of the year, because even if a player hasn't played for him all season long, it is all dependent on matchups. And seeing this Golden State series, rim protection could be an issue, and Alex Len offered them some rim protection, and offensively, he was a big body that when the Warriors went small, he punished them off these short rolls. And then Davion Mitchell, his spot minutes on Steph defensively were much needed. And if he can be better and more consistent offensively, it'll be a huge plus for Sacramento because then they could put him on Steph Curry longer in this series. But the change of the game really happened in the third quarter, that late third quarter. The Kings go on that 14-2 run with Steph on the bench. The Warriors were up 10, and Steve Kerr takes Draymond and Steph Curry out, which was a huge mistake. You always got to leave at least one of those guys on the floor at all times. And Jordan Poole, they were attacking him in that third, in that fourth. They were attacking him, and that's why Monk and De'Aaron Fox were having their way. Now, this series, I think, is going to go to distance. I think every game this series is going to be the type of game that we just saw in game 1. Maybe there'll be maybe one game where, things are just not clicking for any team, but I feel good about Sacramento. I think their offense looked potent. It didn't look like the Warriors were guarding them well because they got a lot of open looks. They were just missing. And in the first half, they shot 21% from 3. I don't think that'll continue. They were getting open looks, and I think that the Warriors are going to have trouble stopping this offense all series long, and vice versa. The Warriors got a lot of open looks from Steph. He had an open look late in the game to tie the game, and he missed it. It's classic Steph. He did it against the Raptors in the finals, so it's classic Steph. But I feel good about the Kings, and with Jordan Poole questionable for game 2, although his offense is really important for them, I think that it could be a blessing in disguise given now the Warriors can now go more defensive oriented, and they won't have somebody out on the court that you can just attack offensively like the Kings did in game one. I think in game two, the keys for the Warriors are just limit paint points. They have to rebound better. And for the Kings, they had to guard these split cut actions better. There was too many times where Steph Curry and Klay Thompson were wide open, and Steph capitalized on those looks, but Klay Thompson, he had a rough shooting night, and I don't think that'll continue. And they have to make a decision on basically what they want to sell out on. Do they want to go all out and really guard these Steph screens and leave rollers just open and leave shooters like Kuminga open on the floor? Or do they want to guard these shooters better? I think they'll possibly just guard Steph and live with these shots that are not from Klay. But I think this was a very, very promising game one performance from the Kings.
I was debating just now, should I take the bait and cook him, or should I just go on with
cook? You lost game one, buddy.
Man.
With my reset. But I'm gonna be the bigger man because
he's 25 now.
Yeah,
he's 25.
I'm
he has to be mature
now. He's the little bro.
Mature,
so I'm gonna be the bigger man. Yeah, I'm the wiser. I'm the big bro. I'm just gonna be the bigger man. The game was great. The game was amazing. Probably the best game of the weekend for me personally. It was just a lot of back and forth. The firepower was great. Malik Monk was awesome. The shit talking, the mean mugging was fire. Joel mentioned, though, that third quarter, that was the game for the Warriors. I think, personally, that was the game for the Warriors. I think they lost it in that third quarter. You mentioned it. They was up 10 or 12 points, 3 minutes left. You got to keep Steph and Dre. And I think you keep both of them in. You pretty much put the nail in the coffin, or you make it a big enough lead to where you can sit them for a stretch in the fourth quarter. I think if you play them the 3 minutes, you can possibly make that a 20-point lead. Then you can sit Steph and Dre for 3 to 4 minutes. Those Poole Klay minutes was not good. They were not good. Those are two guys who, this year they've taken bad shot after bad shot. Their shot diet hasn't been well. I don't think those two can play in the backcourt together, especially in this playoff series. But I think that was the move. Kerr, he fumbled the bag on that one. I think that was the game. That was the moment where he fumbled the bag on that one. The Kings got hot. They started to get it firing. They got in their groove. They left the third quarter, I think, up 1, if I'm not mistaken. And then they go into the fourth. They already got their groove. And I know how that shit feels. When you home, you got your groove, you're hot, you can't be stopped. And the Warriors managed in the fourth quarter when Steph got it to keep it rolling, to keep maintaining. They had multiple opportunities to win this game. The Wiggins 3 from the corner, he was 1 for 8. I don't think he does that again. I think he's just getting his legs under him. He looked great, by the way, offensively.
First half, he was amazing.
Defensively, he looked a little slow, but I think that's because he's getting his legs under. But offensively, he looked great. He just looked a little tired out there. I think he has to get that going for him. He was amazing. No, Looney, defensively, Loontown. I love him to death. My favorite center. He did his thing on Sabonis. Sabonis likes to play physical. Looney can do it too. Draymond also is great. I just think the problem is if Wiggins doesn't have his legs under him to guard players like Fox or Monks, that's going to become an issue down the stretch in his playoffs because you need a guy like that. I thought GP in his minutes against Fox, he was well. He wasn't great, but he was well in those minutes. He was making him he was a little bit disruptive. He was able to maintain him, but it wasn't. Once Fox get going in the fourth quarter, it was pretty much offense for offense, and the Warriors managed to keep up. But like you said, Steph missed that shot. Andrew Wiggins missed that shot in the corner, but you had multiple times to get the win. Offensive rebounding. The Kings has 17 offensive rebounds. That's something you have to focus on. Even having 17 offensive rebounds and losing by 2 it's not bad, but you allowed too many second chance possessions. You have to limit that. The turnovers weren't that bad. The Warriors had 15, the Kings had 13. So that wasn't no crazy disparity. I just think if the Warriors walked out this game, they don't feel a sense of urgency. You didn't play bad. Both teams have a lot to come out with this win. The Kings could play a little better. I think the Warriors play a little better. I don't think either team has played to their perfection yet. I think both teams have another level that they can go up to, and I think that's going to lead to great ball. I don't think both teams play well. You mentioned it. Trey Lyles came in, gave great minutes, while Keegan Murray, who's a rookie, so I'm not going to give him too much slack. Keegan Murray, Kevin Huerter, they didn't play well. Trey Lyles came in. He lit the spark. He was amazing for them. Alex Len had great minutes for them. But Jonathan Kuminga, he came in, he had great minutes. So a lot of the role players played really, really well in this game. So you love to see that. It just, for the Warriors, Klay didn't show up. Steph did show up for the fourth quarter, and that's what you like to see. For me personally, I need Steph to play 40 to 42 minutes for this. I need Kerr to be aggressive with Steph's minutes. I need him to stop. The word I want to use is stop babying him. I need him like that third quarter. Pull the trigger. Fuck your rotations. Fuck however you want to do it. Steph and Dre need to stay in the game. This is a moment you need to do. This is a series you need to win. But all in all, I think it was a great game. No shots at the Kings. They played amazing. They deserved to win. I said they were going to win this game. It was a lot of pressure on them. 16 years in the making. First playoff game in Sacramento. This was a game that I thought they was going to win from the jump. Game 2 for me is probably the most important game for the Warriors because if they're able to get that game, then I believe going into the Bay, they will become pretty much almost unbeatable. And I think they can steal those 2 games in the Bay. But I think this game, too, the adjustments are going to be so important. I think they need to get this game.
They have to figure out a way how to guard De'Aaron Fox because I think we're reaching a point with De'Aaron where he's becoming a superstar. Joel, he made this point before. My man is shooting over 50% this season from mid-range.
Yeah.
To say he's been automatic has been an understatement.
Yeah.
You coalesce that with his slippery feel, his innate touch around the rim. He is so shifty and so dynamic, bending around the edge, coming off screens. There's really no way to contain him one-on-one. And for a team that didn't start Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, or Gary Payne, none of your top 3 perimeter players, you realize pretty quickly, Dante DiVincenzo and Klay Thompson, they're not going to stay in front of him one-on-one. And if the Warriors want to have any chance of at least limiting him somewhat in this series to 30 points per game on not 48% shooting, it's not going to continue shooting 4 of 8 from the field, but you need to put one of those elite defenders on him because he's going to get by them one-on-one very easily. And then from there, you're bent to his will. He basically is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but a couple of inches shorter. And the other thing, Joel, that you made a great point about, Domantas Sabonis and Harrison Barnes had 9 offensive rebounds in game 1. And that's one thing the Warriors do have to hone in on because Sabonis, he actually had a lot of his makes going right, believe it or not, where he has the avulsion fracture in his thumb. That was where most of his makes were. But he's going to get on the offensive glass. And for a Kings team that's already going to push the pace and make you run, they're going to really, I think all season long, what's made them so elite is that they really put them to the stress test in transition. It's then the fact that if you give them second chance points and you're turning over the ball as much as the Warriors have historically, that's where outside the margins, if the Kings are winning that battle, I'm going to have to reevaluate my pick of the Warriors.
He's flipping?
But no, Dehls, let me speak a little bit because Kevon Looney has to dominate on the glass. And if Sabonis is getting those second chances, even if he was 5-17 from the field, with how well De'Aaron Fox played and how much better Keegan Murray and Kevin Huerter are going to play, it's really going to be the Warriors defense just honing in on, okay, transition, can we limit you somewhat?
Does integrity mean nothing to anyone nowadays?
Listen, I think it's fair. Nothing. I think it's fair, like John, for one.
Yo, Joe,
De'Aaron Fox is the best finisher at the guard position in the NBA.
Is that 79?
Is that 70? No. Fox is way better than Shai finishing around the basket.
Statistically?
Well, yeah, statistically he is. Yeah, he is. Fox is the best finisher at the rim, and then you're right. Mid range, he's been shooting 50% from there. So Fox, there's really no way to really contain him. It's not like Ja, where you can force John to mid-range jump shots and you feel comfortable with him settling. It's not that same effect with Fox. And listen, I like what John said because he wanted to see if a great regular season team could translate into the playoffs. And then this playoff game, he realized, oh no, Fox is actually legit. And this Kings offense is actually humming. Like you said, Riv, neither team played to their potential. That's why I don't buy these people saying, oh, the Kings barely won and they like everything went perfect. Everything didn't go perfect for the Kings. Their starters outside of 2 guys, Fox and I'm forgetting another guy, Fox and Barnes, really everybody else was not that good. They were not good at all. Outside of offensively speaking, because Sabonis did dominate the glass. So neither team played to their potential. And I think the Kings offensively still have another gear. And I think every game this series is going to be basically an offensive showdown. It's going to come down to the fourth quarter.
I do think, John, though, I think I don't think the key is stopping Fox. Like, it's going to sound crazy, but I don't think the key is stopping Fox. So it's hard to stop the team's best guard player. I think the key is stopping those other guys that have explosions. Example, Malik Monk. If you allow a player like that to go for 30, Malik Monk's a great player. Nobody's disputing that. But if you allow Malik to outplay your other star guard in Klay Thompson, that's where the issue lies. Like Steph, he didn't have 38, but he had 30. In fourth quarter, he matched Fox. They went at it back and forth. So if you have that, okay, that's up at the margin. But when you have Malik Monk, who's outmatching Clay by a significant amount, that's where the problem lies, I think, and that's more important.
Monk has those.
You say De'Aaron is the straw that stirs the drink for their offense, where with how much attention you're going to have to double team him, that's what opens it up.
No,
especially
I know,
because Domantas Sabonis, they're going to play more aggressive on him, and it's going to be tougher to get those DHO looks at Kevin Huerter. They really honed up. I think all series long, they're going to hone on those DHO looks because they know how high Kevin Huerter can get.
No, I agree. I think if you saw during the game, like Fox was getting it going, but it was a different energy when Malik was getting a bucket. You know, like it was a different type of different type of energy the fans was getting, the players get when Malik would get a bucket or he'll make a play off a pick and roll. Like he was bringing a different type of vibe. Fox is bringing that vibe because he's a star. He's been doing that all year. But when you have that other guy that brings you that type of energy, it's like it brings the like, oh shit, he can do it, so can I. Now Barnes is getting it going. Trey Lyles comes in now, he's getting it going. Like Malik, I feel like that game, he just brought that different energy to where the other players started stepping up. You saw Lyles came in and doing his thing.
You make great points. Fox did take over the fourth, though.
Yeah,
he did.
That's
and
his role.
He should have got that posterizer dunk, man. Fuck,
bro. Oh my god,
so close.
Once he cocked that back, bro. I thought
Ja would have got that.
Shut the roof down.
Ja wouldn't hit the mid-range shots yet, though.
Man, he was trying it on AD today, and AD was having none of that.
Yeah,
but
bro said AD. We had Klay Thompson down there, bro.
You're right. But that's one of the things you mentioned, getting killed on the boards. Listen, no doubt about it. Kevon Looney's a great rebounder in his own right. Wiggins, when he's right, is an excellent rebounder in his own right. Draymond Green, no doubt, but you still you lack that size to compete with the Sabonises. The Sabonis who absolutely killed on the glass yesterday. I think he had 16 rebounds, something crazy, trying to make up for obviously his lack of offensive output. But for me, it was really two things. The first half, Wiggins and Poole were amazing. Wiggins in his return was fantastic to start in that first half, and Jordan Poole really was getting it going, was really aggressive. Then second half, where now I believe that Jordan Poole is now on the injury report for game 2. So that might be a reason why he did not play as many minutes in the second half.
Yeah, he's questionable.
But Andrew Wiggins not having that same energy for the second half, it was very evident that maybe conditioning was at the forefront of why he was not as consistent as he was in that first half. And then, Riv, I saw you tweet about it to skip a few steps. You said that you're 10 out of 10. You're fine with that shot from Wiggins. I could not agree more. You're Andrew Wiggins. You were the second best player on a championship-winning team last season. You understand how great you need to be.
You're wide open, too.
Exactly. You take that shot. You're Andrew Wiggins. You have that green light. You take it. I'm fine with it. But you guys talked about it. It's either you sit Curry at the start of the fourth quarter, let him play the entire third, or you sit him. You understand what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. You either let him play the entire third,
play half the third.
Or you sit him where you sat him, but start him when the fourth quarter starts.
He didn't do either. He didn't do
either. You did neither. You sat him for the last 2.5 minutes of the third, and then you brought him back into the game in the fourth quarter with just around 9 minutes to go. Yeah. And of course, Curry was cooking, but then at that point, they were playing at a deficit. And then once the Kings had that lead, they really never looked back. So listen, it was a credit. It's a credit to the Kings, but I think that with a minor adjustment in Steve Kerr and his lineup adjustments in that second half, that's really what cost them the game. And again, I think that Wiggins with the conditioning, that's going to be very key to see how that translates throughout the entirety of this series. I still believe that the Warriors will win this series. I believe that in the first half, the Warriors looked like the Warriors now expected. Second half, they didn't look themselves. The Kings really looked themselves. This was a stereotypical Kings game where that late third, fourth quarter, they decide to dominate. De'Aaron Fox, we've spoken about him ad nauseum, deservedly so. Second most points in a playoff debut, only second to Luke, who had 42, unbelievable in his own right. But we're talking about De'Aaron. And then Malik Monk, who was also amazing, perfect from the free throw line. Of course, Malik was great last year, so I had a taste of that with Malik with the Lakers. But, of course, it hurts to see him do it in Sacramento, especially against the Warriors. He absolutely killed yesterday, and he was crucial to the win for the Kings. But really, it's going to be interesting to see how Wiggins and Poole really could become more comfortable and how really consistent the two of them would be, because I trust Curry. And Clay, where you could say he struggled, he only had one more missed three than Curry. So in hindsight, I can understand he's a little bit more inefficient than Curry, but the two of them really weren't efficient by their own standards. So we'll see how this continues to translate. But I still do have the Warriors, and I believe that they'll be a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more tidy of these upcoming games.
Malik was crazy.
Clay missed most of his shots in the fourth game.
Yeah, that's true.
That's facts. That's facts.
That was the issue.
40%.
He shot 8 for 19, but again, from 3, Curry was 6 for 14, Clay was 5 for 14. So I understand, especially Curry early on, he wasn't that great. Fourth quarter, he came to play. And that's why obviously Curry's different. But you're right. That's when you needed Clay the most, he didn't show up.
Fourth quarter, they were just going back and forth. And not only did I think this was the best game of the weekend, but De'Aaron Fox had the best performance of the weekend. He looked like the most dominant player out of all of these games we've seen. I mean, I don't know, John is all of a sudden flipping. I don't know why you had questions about the Kings and De'Aaron Fox's
I didn't have questions on De'Aaron. I didn't have questions on their offense either.
Okay, that's what it is.
Their defense.
Rib, check your threes up.
Check your threes up. He's not flipping. Because I agree, John. It was never the offense or De'Aaron Fox that was in question. It was the defense of the Kings. And this was a game one, that I thought the Kings had to have. I didn't think if the Kings lost game one, I thought they would be in big trouble. I mean, the 16-year drought, you saw fans were lining up 2 hours before the game. The gates were crazy. It was insanely loud. There was just way too much energy and the vibe around Sacramento for them to go into that game and lose game one. So I thought all the pressure was on Sacramento for that first game. And the fact that they stood toe-to-toe with the dynasty, with Steph Curry on the other side, Steve Kerr, of course, but Steph Curry on the other side, Clay, Draymond, all these future Hall of Famers, and you have all of these young guys really trying to make a name for themselves, and a lot of them first-time playoff experience, and they didn't bat an eye. They went out there, and it seemed like they were the veteran team. And, it really took to that fourth quarter, I think, that maybe a switch didn't flip, but I think that's kind of when they all came together and said, we belong here. We could go toe-to-toe with the Warriors. We go toe-to-toe with anybody in this league. That's how confident they looked in that fourth quarter. Steph Curry was hitting some bullshit threes that I was just getting some crazy PTSD from. The Warriors felt like they couldn't do anything wrong. And the Kings were just coming back and answering every single shot they had, and they just managed to come out in that game. De'Aaron Fox not only had 38, but had 29 of those 38 in the second half. First half, a little bit shaky, but the fact that he was able to bounce back from that. And then Malik Monk being really that second option offensively when Sabonis didn't have it going. The fact that he was able to drop 30, not miss a free throw, especially in those clutch minutes where he had to make those free throws to really seal that game, or at least put them comfortable where they couldn't lose off a Steph Curry 3. Overall, I still feel like the Warriors could take this in 6 or 7 games, but Sacramento had a huge statement game on game one that they could go toe-to-toe with this team. I think it's going to be the best series out of all of these playoff series this season.
Wait, John, you said that you didn't have questions about the Kings offense. So defensively, what did you see from the Kings that gave you more confidence in them?
To be honest with you, I think they got bailed out a lot. Like we talked about the Wiggins, he's not going to go 1 of 8. And this wasn't the best Steph Curry game. So this may sound oversimplified, but I felt like, as Riv said, they didn't get the Warriors' best punch. But at the same time, there was a recognition that, no, De'Aaron Fox is not a star. He's legitimately becoming a superstar. And the Kings' offense is good enough to where even if the Warriors are pretty good offensively, that may not be enough because of how much shooting, how much dynamicism on the perimeter, the transition attack, and then most notably what Fox has done inside the arc. And then also, I don't think it's sustainable to make 4 threes, but he's going to continue making some of them. So
what you're saying is that you feel like they can match the offense?
I do think they can, but we'll have to see if they make more shots. Wiggins, that is.
Knicks and Cavs. Knicks won 101-97. I don't know about you guys, but I think the Cavaliers' depth is extremely concerning. Going into the series, it was concerning, and I was like, okay, I want to actually see how it plays out in the series, though. But after game one, I mean, as a Knicks fan, I was teetering on maybe picking the Cavs because I understand how great their first 4 are. And you almost had to sneeze there, Drew.
I did. I had to mute it because it was about to be loud.
I understand how great the Cavs' first 4 are in Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, and Allen. But after game one, as a Knicks fan, I'm feeling very confident in New York because our depth is just so much better. We have a legit 8-man rotation. Brunson, RJ, who didn't shoot well but played good defense. You had Quentin Grimes, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson was good on the glass. Josh Hart off the bench. Emmanuel Quickley, Hartenstein gave some good minutes. And Obi Toppin was really good. We have a legit 8-man rotation. And I think the Knicks' top guys can match the Cavs' top guys. I think Randle and Brunson can match Mitchell and Garland. So the series will ultimately come down to the others and who has better others. The Knicks do. And this game wasn't even a good offensive game. Brunson got into foul trouble in the first half. He was non-existent in the first half, basically. And we shot 28% from three. That's not like us. The fact that we didn't even play a good game, and I thought we won pretty handily, although the Cavs did make a late game run, gives me extreme confidence moving forward in this series. It does, especially because Isaac Okoro, yes, he's great defensively. Offensively, if he's out there, it's 4-on-5 offensively.
4-on-5, baby.
And he's not.
Shame Rip's not here.
And Okoro is not as great defensively to just play 4-on-5 out there for a majority of the game. He's not holding Brunson like that either. So then when he's out the game, your backup is Shetty Osman. So now Shetty Osman gets that main primary assignment.
Said he was doing his thing. Said he was doing his thing.
He was, but come on, let's be serious.
I got you. I got you. But
Right.
Shetty actually gave some solid minutes yesterday's game, no doubt.
Yeah, he did, but I don't trust him to really handle Brunson for the majority of the series, and that's why I think although he played some good minutes and he had good possessions, I just don't think it's sustainable. The Cavs got 14 points from their bench, non-existent. Rubio slow, coming off a torn ACL. Karis LeVert is very inconsistent. He's always been an inconsistent player. And, man, I really do trust Julius Randle in this series. I know that he had a stinker 2 playoffs ago. I think he'll be good this series. In the first half, he was great. He finished with 19 and 10 despite a very inefficient second half. And Josh Hart playoff debut, 17 and 10. He took those RJ minutes. He closed out the game. Him, Grimes, Brunson. I mean, Josh Hart is phenomenal. And his offensive rebounds late in the game are what sealed this victory for the Knicks. The Knicks had 17 offensive rebounds. And when the Cavs were making this late game push, you know, we had the Brunson turnovers. Mitchell was stealing it from him. It looked like the Cavs were going to steal this one. And then the Knicks came back. Brunson had some timely buckets. And then offensive rebounds just killed the Cavs, and that's what sealed this game. Ultimately, I feel very comfortable with where New York is at right now because we played an average game. I still think there's another gear for us to go to, and I think Cleveland gave us close to their best punch, if I'm speaking honestly. I think Mitchell giving you 38.
Rev, he's not lying.
Mitchell giving you 38. They gave us a lot.
Hold on, because
Garland had a mediocre ass game.
If you think
Narski still had 19 and 8.
If you think Mobley missing layups,
he only
and not
made 7
the ball,
shots.
not
That's
being bad, being bad defensively, Garland being lackadaisical and having a passing game. If you think that's the Cavs' best punch, you just haven't watched the Cavs all year. That is
definitely Mitchell's best punch.
That's not even Mitchell's best punch.
38's not Mitchell's best punch,
bro. He had 38, but it was like, bro, he took 30 shots. 30
because
shots.
Nobody else was being aggressive. Garland,
it was all him in the
fourth. That he is good enough.
6 for 16 from the 3-point line.
The Knicks, the Cavs have 2.5 offensive players, Mitchell and Garland.
You knew
and
that.
Mitchell. I know that, but then that's why I picked the Knicks. Mitchell's offense, it takes away from Garland because Garland needs the ball in his hands to be super effective as well. Although Garland's a great off-ball player and he can shoot, he benefits from having the ball in his hands. And Mobley, this might be him this series. You know, I think Mobley could definitely play better, but a great game from Mobley is 16 and 8. It's not saying much.
But I think you're forgetting the defense part. And I think that's the part that matters a lot with Evan Mobley, which is crazy because me and you were Evan Mobley guy. So I don't know how you're forgetting the defensive part. Evan Mobley was horrible on defense. Like, that was his worst defensive game of his 2-year career. So if he's giving you the 16 and 8 and then playing that defensive player of the year defense, that's a different type of Mobley. And then Garland, Mitchell kind of takes away, but Garland is also a little bit too passive at times, which in terms where he needs to be a lot more aggressive, and he needs to be more. he needs to be more aggressive in this series now because of, like you said, they really have 2 offensive players. They kind of set the table for Mobley and Allen a lot, but they have 2 offensive players. So Garland needs to be more aggressive now. But I don't think, I don't think that this is their best punch. I think the Knicks, I think both teams have another gear because Quickly didn't score. He didn't even play too well. I think Randall can play a little bit better.
RJ shot horrible.
Well, we know what's going on with that.
That's usual, bro. You know that.
Yeah, I think Randall can play a little bit better too, though. I think he definitely Brunson. If he has 4 quarters, I think he can be even better than what he was. So I think Cleveland. They just were the Knicks were just a more physical team. I mean, you got production from your role players. Josh Hart was amazing down the stretch, especially offensively. He was doing his thing. You had solid Obi Toppin minutes. You had solid Hartenstein minutes. When you get solid minutes from literally damn near all 5 of your role players, I mean, that's a recipe for success. Cleveland, unfortunately, their role players were so bad, grabbing rebounds, scoring the ball, that even they, and with all that, they lost by what, like 2 to 3 points?
4 points.
So you need something. Karis LeVert needs to give you something. That's the only guy coming off the bench, and Cedi Osman, that can really give you something offensively. But down the stretch, I'm sorry. Even though Okoro can't be played on the offensive floor, you cannot leave Cedi Osman on Jalen Brunson. I know he missed 1 layup down the stretch. They didn't even get the rebound. So the fact that they didn't even get the rebound, which could cost them the game, because Donovan Mitchell did so much for them to get back in the game. I mean, he was phenomenal on both ends. He did so much for them to get back into the game. They couldn't grab boards. I mean, Julius Randle, Mitch, Hartenstein, they were just more physical. And I think Cleveland just got punched in the mouth by a more game-ready team. And I think that's important. The adjustment for game 2 for Cleveland is it's tough because they don't have the requisite pieces to adjust. And I think you're going to need, I still believe in Cleveland. I'm not going to sit here and I do want to see the game 2. Game 3 is going to be the one where I really might think about. But I still believe in Cleveland because I believe in Darius Garland. But you're going to need those 2 guys to be at their very best to beat this Knicks team that has it rolling on all cylinders. If you're not going to give that top 3 defense in the series offensively, you got to give something.
So for me, why I'm a little bit more disappointed with Garland's performance, not just outside the scoring and a lack of aggressiveness there, but the fact that he had 1 assist and 5 turnovers. What really needs to be their adjustment is obviously Donovan Mitchell needs to be the number 1 scoring option. That's obvious. It's Donovan Mitchell. He's going to be first-team All-NBA, understandably so, that he's going to have the majority of the looks. But that being said, they need to play off each other. Garland needs to have the ball in his hands a little bit more, especially if they want to be successful in the playoffs. So I don't disagree with you, Joel. 2.5 is accurate. Mobley's offensive game is limited. But again, Mobley's failures yesterday were on him. He can finish at the basket a little bit more efficient. But that's also with Garland being the playmaker. They could run a little bit more pick and rolls, pick and pops at, of course, the elbow, get something going where, of course, Mobley and Garland get a little bit more comfortable. And I believe in Donovan's ability to not just, of course, he's better with the ball in his hand. That's obvious. But Donovan being the star that he is, he has to be good enough to coexist without the ball in his hand, understanding that Darius Garland needs to be have more of a strong role in this offense. But to talk about the Knicks, this really wasn't a great game by the Knicks. They just play extremely tough. That has been the Knicks all season long. Brunson was inefficient in the first half, cleaned that up in the second, especially in that fourth. It's comparable. You could say who was better in that fourth quarter, Brunson or Mitchell. Mitchell was fantastic in his own right. No doubt about it. I think that I would still take Mitchell, but the fact that Brunson was so big time, going tit for tat with Donovan, able to close out that game. And with Randall, he struggled in that second half, was great in the first half. I started to think for a second, I'm like, whoa, is Randall really new?
30 and 15 game coming?
Nah, he looked extremely good in that first half. For that second half to be lackluster, to be honest with you, but still, nevertheless, still trusted himself. Oh, no, John was happy. He was like, oh, my God, he's been waiting.
John was in his bag that second half. He was thank God.
His reputation was on the line. So, regardless, for him to still stay in the game, to get that offensive rebound at the end of the game to essentially seal the game for the Knicks, that was huge. And you mentioned it, Joel. Emmanuel quickly really didn't cook up. RJ was great defensively, but offensively, it is hard to rely on RJ consistently. I just understand that both these teams did not put their best effort forward. For the Knicks to come in and steal game one, to win their first road game in over 10 years in the playoffs, this was essential for the Knicks to have confidence. Not just to think that, of course, you can believe that the Knicks are going to win this series. There's reasons to believe so. I still firmly believe the Cavs will win this because I think that the Cavs still have the better players in this series. It's just going to be how they decide to make adjustments and alter their roles in this offense. Donovan needs to be great, but he also needs to allow Darius Garland to play his game. You can't just win this series with Donovan Mitchell. It needs to be Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland together being a strong duo. But nevertheless, credit to the Knicks and credit to them being able to go into Cleveland, a very tough road game to go into, especially with the Knicks having, let's be real, the Cavs are the team with the more pressure here, but it's the Knicks. There's still some nervousness that's there because of the allure of New York. But nevertheless, a great game and a great series to be expected.
Cavs have the best player, but Knicks have the better players.
And that's the big issue here. The playoffs highlight your weaknesses. And the Cavaliers, like you said, both of you and Riv and you, Drew, the Cavs are playing 4-on-5 offensively. And I'm sitting here watching back at the game, and it's maddening some of the looks. Isaac Okoro will pass up wide open. And because the Cavaliers' offense is reliant on two guards and that wings, they're going to run a million pick and rolls. And because no one respects Isaac Okoro as a shooter, you can double those pick and rolls, and now it becomes better. The big adjustment is having Darius Garland on the ball. He's your best playmaker by far. Donovan Mitchell is your scorer. And when you can have him playing off the ball, it takes a lot of the attention off of Garland and diversifies their attack. That's my biggest takeaway for the Cavaliers, but there's actually a much bigger one. It's something they can't really control. Because they have zero depth, they run out of gas. And in this game especially, all of the loose balls, all the long misses, the Knicks shot 27% from three. They're not a great shooting team. They had a good year from three, though. They're not going to be the most reliable, I should say. The Knicks are missing shots, and they're getting all those offensive rebounds because Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, they're playing all these minutes, and you don't have a backup big you can go to. And offensively, obviously, Mobley was not doing a great job at the rim against Mitchell Robinson, but the issue with the Knicks in this matchup against the Cavaliers is that the Cavs are going to lose on the margins. They're going to lose on the glass just because they're going to be worn out. They have no bench depth, whereas Knicks are truly 3 or 4 guys deep down the bench. And then the last part, too, is offensively, they only have 2 players. They've been relying on 2 guys all year. They have no shooting outside those 2. Very little playmaking. And when I look at this matchup, I said they're going to have the better duo. But it's the better basketball team in New York, quite frankly, because the Cavaliers they don't have a complete starting lineup. And you're kind of spinning the wheel every single game and trying to figure out, okay, is it going to be Karis LeVert? Oh, it goes 1 of 8. Then we look to Dean Wade, his minutes are a train wreck. Ricky Rubio, oh, he can't move. And it's frustrating in many ways because this duo they have is special, but until they could actually put the pieces offensively around them, they're always going to be limited. And they were the 7th ranked offense, but shit, man. I mean, the Knicks should win this series. They should win this series. Yeah. I had the Cavaliers going 6 or 7, but they're just not a good basketball team outside their court. Like, they have no good NBA players outside their court. Like, I was going to be honest there. And the offensive rebound is even more maddening because, like, the Knicks just have the energy.
Hey, listen, John, I respect you for actually, like, giving this analysis and actually changing your picks and giving respect to the Knicks because you're overreacting to game 1, although I think your analysis is very correct. You will be vindicated. Drew, Dehls, and Riv will all flip like game 3 and 4 and say the Knicks will ultimately win. But they'll be wrong.
I'm sticking with the Cavs.
But you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong ultimately because we know the Knicks are the better team.
That's why game 1 overreactions are hilarious and people laugh at them. You don't overreact to game 1. You wait for the game 2 adjustments because the playoffs are adjustments.
What are the adjustments?
Last year,
John. Here's the adjustments. Get Garland on ball more.
I said after game 2, I'm going to look at it differently. That's what I said. I said after game 2 because you got to wait and at least wait and see if the team is going to adjust. Y'all watch game 1 and just, I can't do it anymore.
You want to know an interesting stat, Riv? 6 of the 8 teams last playoffs that won game 1 in the first round advanced.
Is that just 1 year?
Well, that's the most recent year, sure. But historically, it's probably that way too. It's probably it favors the team that won game 1.
You have a better chance.
I think historically, there's a number that most teams that win game 3 win the series too. I think that's a historical stat too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Game 3 and game 5 are pretty big.
So and game 3 is what at Madison Square Garden? Good luck, Cleveland.
That's after 2 games of playing and adjusting.
Aren't you guys better on the road than home?
Ooh.
We're still good at home. It's MSG. It's MSG.
And
listen, I don't know why people overlook this with Cleveland, and I don't understand. Every single team that has limited spacing, we say they're going to have trouble in the playoffs. Cleveland has had limited spacing all year. Nobody addressed those issues coming into this matchup. Defensively, although we know Mobley and Allen are great, they don't have perimeter stoppers. It kind of feels like Utah defensively. Their best defenders are Okoro, who gets played off the court. Then you have Garland, Mitchell, and Osman. They cannot guard the perimeter, which stresses Evan Mobley. So defensively, there are major flaws, and offensively, they have no spacing. So, yeah, these concerns were overlooked, but it's the truth of what Cleveland is.
Yeah,
should they be playing
one
Danny
game
Green
definitely?
Oh my goodness!
Oh God! At least he can shoot, but I mean,
he can shoot, and he can knows
shoot, but
defensively, even if he can't move.
He knows, but he's like 40. RS, I don't know if this is true or not, but RS in the chat said since the bubble, teams who win game one are 17-30 in playoff series. I haven't backed that up, but that's what he said.
17 and
13. My apologies. 17-13 in 30 series. The story of this game is Cleveland got outworked. They got out physical. They got out rebounded. And when that happens, you can score 101 points and win. You could shoot 26% from three and win. And RJ could have a terrible game and quickly could have 3 points, one of his worst games all season. And Randall could struggle in the second half, and Brunson could struggle in the first half. All of this stuff can happen if you have 51 rebounds and the opponent has 38. If you have 23 second chance points, there's a lot more room for error when you get that many second chances, that many extra possessions. And that's what happened this game. I think for Cleveland, it's going to be hard to adjust, but not impossible. It feels like this has to be a team effort. You can't rely on just Jared Allen and Evan Mobley to rebound the ball. You need all 5 guys crashing the glass if you want to have a chance in this series because, I mean, Josh Hart's one of the best rebounders that isn't a big man in the game. Plus you have Mitch, plus you have Randall. You just have a really physical team that rebounds the ball extremely well. They're one of the best rebounding teams all season long, and that was probably overlooked in my analysis to come into the series. I'm not going to flip. I'm not going to, I'm going to give them extra credit. But I'm not going to sit here and flip over just one game, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't worried about this first game because there's a lot of things you can fix. There's a lot of variance in things when it comes to stuff like three-point shooting and free throws and stuff like that. But there's not a lot of variance when it comes to who's the more physical team. There's not a lot of variance when it comes to effort and physicality. So in one sense, you have to trust Cleveland's 82-game sample size of being the best defense in basketball, having Evan Mobley, who's arguably Defensive Player of the Year, and Donovan Mitchell, who's going to be an All-NBA player, and Garland, who's great. You have to trust the 82-game sample to an extent. But I think if you're a Cavs fan and you're rooting for this series, if you don't come out next game and it isn't a team effort to rebound the basketball, you're going to get swept off the court. And I understand you got, destroyed on the glass and still lost by 4 points, but if that doesn't get fixed, and it's not like Mobley's going to put on 20 pounds overnight and Jared Allen's going to be able to just completely shut away Mitchell Robinson, it's going to be a hard series to win here. I got to give credit to the Knicks. Josh Hart played out of his mind. It felt like every rebound Josh Hart got was more important than the last rebound, especially in that fourth quarter, was shooting the ball well. Brunson in that second half was phenomenal too. So this Knicks team, like Drew said, plays with heart. It's great. It's a lot of, I want it better. I want it more than you want it. So this is going to be a fun matchup. But I think in the East, we talked about this is really the only matchup that kind of strikes everyone as like can go either way. But I was not expecting the Cavs to get worked like this because I thought Jared Allen to an extent can limit Mitchell Robinson. I thought Evan Mobley to an extent could get the rebounds to be able to keep up with this great rebounding team. But in game one, it was not the case.
So if the Cavs,
I'm sorry to talk about Josh Hart. Dude, that last possession of not the second to last possession of his where he just injured his ankle, comes back the opposite end, the shot clock's winding down, bro hits a quick move, step back 3. That was tough.
Villanova, baby.
That was tough. 8 of 11 from the field too.
Bro.
But listen,
11 from the field and be as dominant on the glass as he was, bro. Josh Hart, I said it then, I'll say it now. Huge addition for the Knicks.
And since we've gotten him, we've been a top 5 team in the NBA, not just in the East, in the NBA. But now listen, Dehls, what you said from John isn't much different. If the Cavaliers 6'1" guards don't rebound the ball better, the Knicks should win this series. You basically said the same thing as John, except you're still picking the Cavs to win the series, although all the evidence is leaning the Knicks.
You got a team rebound. I know they're 6'1", but you just have to see more effort out of it. You're not going to roll, but you could have more effort.
Hey, listen, man, it's not going to happen. And our front court, Mitchell Robinson and Jared Allen cancel out. Mitchell Robinson is just as good of a rebounder as him, and Randall's a better rebounder than Evan Mobley. The front court, we have the advantage, and then everybody else, we're just better rebounding top to bottom.
Yeah, it's going to be easy rebounding, not going to lie.
I want to ask you, Drew, and Joel, as Knick fans, RJ Barrett went 2 of 12.
Even though I kind of turned my back on them, so gotta be honest.
Go ahead. Cavs.
I did.
Are we seeing the end of RJ Barrett in New York? From last season, he's lost his agility and his confidence.
Where are they going to send him?
He can't make a shot. A place like Toronto where he can just pile up stats and just do his thing.
He got paid.
At this point,
if he didn't get paid, it would be easy.
At this point, I'm not sure. At this point, I'm not sure RJ Barrett can get traded for a second-round pick. That's how inefficient he's been.
He's bad.
Defensively, in game 1, he was great, but my goodness, 2 for 12. Your first playoff series, you were horrible. The first game of game 1 and your second playoff series, you're horrible. RJ Barrett, and I've said this all along, but whenever you said this a year and a half ago, Knicks fans would attack you. I said he was going to be a disappointment of a 3rd overall pick. He had a stretch last season where the Knicks weren't very competitive, and he had a lot of great stats, but ultimately, he doesn't have a role on a team. Ideally, he should be the Knicks 3 and D player, but he can't shoot, so that's an issue. And on the ball, he's not good enough to warrant so many touches. RJ Barrett is just a weird fit in the NBA, and in order to stick around, he has to find his niche.
Yeah, he needs to develop a 3-point shot. That's really his only way. Because I mean, we're talking about with the Coro, and RJ's been a better defender in his case, at least this past game. But if you're not able to do anything offensively, it's a hard time finding a spot on a playoff team. You could go to Portland or San Antonio or like one of those teams and just rack up minutes and stats. But if you want to be a winning player, he's going to have to find it.
Isaac Okoro's going to hit 3 threes next game.
He was over 4 this game, right?
It's plus 400 odds.
I'll put $100.
Plus 400 might be generous.
I'm gonna put my birthday money. I'm put my birthday money on it. He's going to hit 3 threes next game.
You know what?
Make a big bet.
I think RJ Barrett reminds me a lot of De'Aaron Fox, though, from last season, where De'Aaron last year hit the weight room, and the issue was, you can't bench press the ball into the basket. And with RJ Barrett this year, it's a similar story where he's put on a lot of weight and he's lost his quickness, that burst, that speed, that agility to get by guys one-on-one. And that's why he stunk this year one-on-one. I think this offseason, he gets in the gym, he loses some of that weight, he gets quicker. This is what Mikey Robbins actually pointed out on Twitter. His bag can become something where he beats you off the dribble. And on Mojo, I'm trying to look to see what RJ's price is. It's probably in the gutter. I would have it in the gutter. I would honestly invest in RJ at $123 because next season, I think he's going to understand what he needs to work on. That's his agility, getting by guys, and
First of
all, don't send him to Portland. Cam Reddish, we good over here.
So right now, we are staying up for you guys, and we have one more segment. Then we're gonna get off. But I'm gonna hit you in a riv. I'm gonna call you in the riv in a second. Riv. Sorry, I'm starting my words right now. It all makes it worth it because right now we have 879 viewers in the live stream. And that's what makes it worth it. If we had 100, we probably would have called it quits right here and ended the stream. But since it's almost close to 1,000, shout out to all you guys in the stream. Make sure you guys like this video so it pops up on people's YouTube feeds and more people watch us because we'll be covering these games.
100 likes.
Yeah, we'll be covering these playoff games all playoffs long after the after the games finish. So after game 2s, after game 3s, we'll be covering these all playoff long, and you'll be able to get us. You'll be able to see us flip in real time. John has done it a couple times. I applaud you, John. You're a smart man.
No, I haven't. The reason I think I'm flipping is because this year there's more parity than ever, and it feels like this every single season. So we're learning a lot about these teams.
But John, if game 2 comes out and the opposing team that you flipped on comes out and has a great game, are we just gonna flip back? Like we
sure is.
Dehls. My opinion, my skepticism was then reinforced in game 1. I started to realize more. There's not going to be a solution for Cleveland only having 4 guys. 4 guys versus 8 is an issue. And I'm like, okay, Karis LeVert in game 2, he's probably going to play better. And the same goes for one of their other wings. I'm sure Isaac Okoro, coming off an injury, is going to have a game or two in the series where he goes 3 of 6 from 3. But in the other 5 games, I know he's going to shit the bed. And for that very reason, I have a much more clear idea after seeing it in
So
game
your
1.
hate of Isaac Okoro, so now your hate from Julius Randle has now shifted completely to
no, believe me, Drew.
Okoro,
No. Julius Randle still Julius Randle. His inconsistent shot make is not going
I have a question.
Low-key, Randle and Sabonis.
I have a question.
Just hate lefties.
I have a question.
a little bit.
Rev, what's up?
Oh, screw you.
I can't go right.
So Joel, you were
you.
throughout the Knicks topic. I took notes in my head because you were screaming on this. Oh, we won the first game. It should be obvious that we're gonna win the series. So now that we're gonna jump into the next topic, which is very interesting. I'm glad that we're gonna jump into this next topic. Does that same opinion? Because you said 6 out of 8 teams last year in the playoffs, they win game 1 and they win the series. So does that same logic and analysis and statistic apply to the Clippers, or are you going to run from that and say something else? I'm curious.
No, because I have more worries about the Cavs than I do the Suns.
Okay. I'm just curious. And I think we had an episode and you kind of scoffed off that Kawhi could be the best player in the series. So
I did.
I think you did.
I didn't say that.
I think you did, but
I said Kawhi and KD would match each other.
Oh, didn't look like that. Look like Kawhi matched both of them. But you know what?
Sure.
I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you.
Sure, we'll get into it. We'll get into super chats first.
Kawhi.
Christopher D. Westbrook clutched up tonight. Brody new nickname Hustle Westbrook.
I'll tell you what, I was even more happy that happened, especially after your disrespectful ass tweet, Joel. That was rude and unnecessary. Oh, it's the playoffs. Russell Westbrook playing like shit. Who's surprised?
No, he shot bad.
He does shoot 38%.
You know what's funny about that? Because I remember when Zach Wilson played like dog shit quarters 1 through 3, but was solid in the 4th. That's all you cared about. Here was Brody, clutch when you needed. Hits 2 clutch free throws, has a game-winning block. Hey, when you needed him the most, he shined.
You're comparing Russell Westbrook to Zach Wilson and my expectations for that.
No, I'm just telling you that you give props to a bum, but refuse to give credit to a Hall of Famer.
In a minute,
that's what I'm telling you.
I mean, listen, Russell Westbrook is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I expect more than 35% from the field from him. Sorry. Christopher D. Did Westbrook foul D Book down the stretch? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about. I don't think he fouled him.
Playoffs, you shouldn't call that. I don't think so.
Ray B, respect Austin Reaves and the Lakers. Shout out to Drew.
Mwah, Ray B, I love you.
Christopher D, Brunson is forever Mitchell daddy.
That's kind of
fucking Mitchell at 38.
Shadow Fox 4562. Hard fought win by the Heat. A shame that both teams suffered key injuries. Takes away from the rivalry we have had going. Hashtag Heat Nation.
Let's go Heat.
Now I know people.
I also agree. Let's go Heat.
People might be upset that in this episode we're not going to talk about the Heat and the Bucks game because it's an 8-1 seed matchup. The Heat won game 1, so we're kind of looking at
why they won.
They win game 2. Yeah, they'll get a segment.
Yeah, Giannis should be back for game 2. At least I think so. It was a hard fall that he took, and it now brings into question if those charges should be banned. At least when you're going under the paint when a player's already midair. There's been a conversation around that. I'm not sure where you guys stand on that, but that's an interesting conversation.
Tough for the defender, though, too.
Yeah,
it's really tough.
Josh Boateng, one talking point that needs to be addressed is Steve Kerr questionable rotations that breaks momentum. Yep, and Riv touched on that. Christopher D, super chats out the ass, man. Shout out to Christopher D. They threw a boxing one in the 3rd quarter. That's why Steph wasn't getting off until the 4th. Steph even said it took him time to adjust.
They sure did. I forgot they did that shit.
They did, yeah. Mike Brown, he took a risk right there. And now this is not a super chat, but 6-man, a friend of the podcast. Russ getting praised for playing less efficient than Bruce Brown? ?
First things first, shout out to our boy Wes. That guy is an absolute legend. I love interacting with Wes on Twitter. He's hilarious. Him and I get into back and forth between Austin Reaves and Jordan Poole. So shout out to him. But of course, it's very coincidental. He's talking about Russ here and not Reaves. I'll give him a pass. But hey, I'm giving praise for big time plays and big time moments. That's all. He didn't have a great game. He had a great moment. No doubt. And it was huge for them winning.
Listen, Russ deserves respect. I think he deserves respect. And shout out to Wes, man. Maybe when we do these recaps, we should have him on because he's in Australia. And that for him right now, I think it's like 9 a.m.
Yeah, he's chilling. Oh, he's probably
looking at us like, yo, what the hell is wrong with you?
And now this for NPC Santos. Celtics are booty cheeks, Dehls.
Santos needs help, bro. He needs help.
My goodness.
Welcome.
He needs medical help.
Oh, we have one more super chat.
Okay. Kawhi played tonight like a top 10 player, and we might need to start having a Tatum and Kawhi conversation again coming from a Celtics fan.
Kawhi's been hooping. It's not just tonight, but 3-4 months he's been.
He's more reliable than Tatum. We know that.
Shit, this guy.
Kawhi Leonard, baby.
No. I don't know if reliable is the word.
The claw.
Consistent, okay, but reliable. I don't know if that's the word I would use.
Dehls, don't fall for the bait. He was with you on that debate. Don't fall for it. Don't even fall for it.
No, it was Drew and I.
Yeah, don't even fall for that, man. Stay on your side.
Fox is a far better player than Barrett. No compare. Come on, John. Don't compare. All right. Now, last segment of this podcast, Clippers and Suns. The Clippers won 115 to 110. My biggest takeaway from this series, I'll be very brief and then I'll let you guys have at it, is that the Suns' depth is also concerning. But I do trust the Suns guys and their coaching more than the Cavs at this point because I think they actually have legit spacing. But they have to figure out their lineup, their bench lineups, really, because only one player outside of Landry Shamet played 20-plus minutes for them in this game. The Jock Landale and Shamet minutes were absolutely horrible. Jock Landale was forcing up a bunch of shots that I thought he had no business shooting. It was an atrocity. Their bench combined for 10 points, and these are their plus minuses. Ish Wainwright minus 12, Okogie minus 10, Biyombo minus 11, Shamet minus 14, Landale minus 8. They didn't even play 10 minutes, and they had that much of a discrepancy. It just goes to show that the depth that the Suns don't have right now, because when KD and Booker are on the court and Chris Paul, they play well. Chris Paul didn't have a good shooting night either tonight, and he's somebody that I'm not confident in him moving forward in the playoffs either. But the Suns just have to figure out the rotation. Do you want to have your defense suffer but have some offense out there? Because I don't know, maybe it's just me, but when I saw TJ Warren in Brooklyn, he didn't look bad. I think TJ Warren he's better than a lot of these guys. I don't know why the TJ Warren minutes aren't here. Terrence Ross also gets no play for some reason. Like, maybe I might risk having guys like Terrence Ross and TJ Warren in the lineup instead of defensive-minded wings like Ish Wainwright, just because I get that offense. I'd much rather have that.
Did Damian Lee fall off the face of the earth?
He did not play in this game either, no.
Defensively,
big Damian Lee guy, John.
He was far and away their best bench player this year, and then Monty Williams you know what? I actually really like Terrence Ross. Let's play him over Damian Lee.
Yeah, like for me, this would be my lineup off the bench. I'd have Terrence Ross, Warren, Okogie, Shamet, and Biyombo. I think Biyombo's a much better backup big than Landale because he at least offers defense, and I think he has stronger hands to finish around the basket. But their lineup, their depth is going to be concerning. Even with that, Kawhi had 38 points. He was phenomenal. Kawhi is a great playoff performer. And late in the game, they have to pick what they want to choose defensively. Dude, like Kawhi was having a great game all game. So I understand the late doubles they sent at him. But they sent doubles in unnecessary spots, and the Clippers were getting wide open three-point shots. Eric Gordon had 19 points, and he had a clutch 3 late. And Westbrook, offensive rebounding was amazing. I think that
nothing new.
The Suns can actually fix that, though. I think the Suns can actually box out better, and they can limit those rebounds. Westbrook, he had 9 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, shot 3 for 19, 1 for 6 from 3, but he had 2 steals and 3 blocks. Defensively, he was amazing. Rebounding, he was amazing. His offensive rebounding is why the Suns won why the Clippers won this game. But I think the Suns have a lot of adjustments to make, and I think they'll get better production from their bench moving forward, which is why I'm not so concerned. But I do think this is going to be a tough series. I ultimately said Suns in 5. I think it'll be a 6-game series. I think the Clippers will give them a tougher matchup than I expected.
Thank you, Joel. I appreciate you for giving the Clippers a little bit more love. I appreciate that. Give them just a little bit more respect. I didn't like the Suns in 5. I felt like they deserved a little bit more respect.
You know what I like though? You know what I liked? You know what I like though? Marcus Morris, no minutes this game.
Yeah, no, I loved it. Shit was amazing. Shit made my heart warm. I'm not gonna lie. I felt that inside Dehls was talking about that warm feeling.
That was a big adjustment.
Yeah. Somebody sent this stat. Kawhi, 25 points in the second half. KD, Book, and Chris Paul combined, 24 points in the second half. If one star guy outplays 3 of your guys. Not these aren't regular guys either. This is what somebody told me. Kevin Durant, best player in the series. Devin Booker, one of the best scorers. That's kind of crazy. Like Kawhi, he a different dude, but that's fucking insane. So we gotta give Kawhi some love. He played fucking ridiculous, but we know Kawhi in the playoffs 9 times out of 10 he's gonna come to play. 34-10. That is the bench points from Suns versus the Clippers. And this is why in the series, I wasn't confident in the Suns rotation players. I was a little bit more confident in the Clippers rotation players because I just don't think guys like T. Ross, TJ Warren, if he didn't get minutes, Jock Landale, I don't think those guys are good role players. I thought the Clippers, at least, they're not the greatest. They may be a little bit overhyped, but they're players that you've seen and they can give you a little bit of some action. I thought Russell was great defensively today. Maybe not great. He was really good defensively down the stretch. Is where he really showed that he was great defensively. But Kawhi, they were up big. EG was great in the first half. He gave you those minutes that you needed to get. He gave you those buckets. But I just thought second half, they played it close. Defensively, the Clippers were really good. They played it solid. And then in the fourth quarter, Kawhi just took over the game. And I thought that was the amazing part about it. He just came in the fourth quarter, took over the game, was impressive down the stretch, was clutch. And then Westbrook down the stretch was really, really good. This game makes me a little bit more confident because all I wanted to do for the Clippers was in the steal one in Phoenix. And I thought this was the one. I didn't think they would win this game. I thought the Suns would come out, show that firepower. So the fact that they came out, played this game, and they blew a lead too. They was up big early, kind of teetered down in the second half. Suns got the lead back, but then the Clippers bounced back. And I thought this was a huge, huge win, especially in the locker room, especially after getting that news that Paul George was going to be out for the series. Like that was a fact. Right before the game, you get that news, you come out, you get this W. This puts huge confidence in the locker room. And Joel said it best. No Marcus Morris minutes. I mean, that's just a blessing because if he's not hitting shots, oh my God, that man is horrible. But shout out to the Clippers. They got a good win. I do think the Suns have a little bit of some depth concerns. They might have to try new things game 2, put some different guys in. But in the second half, you need more than 24 points from Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul. That's just a fact. Ayton has to be more aggressive. He has to be more imposing on the glass. But all in all, great win for the Clippers.
All right, guys. I have to be completely transparent. This series and this series only is the absolute closest I will probably get to flipping a side. And that is for the sole fact that the Suns genuinely have zero depth. Zero depth. The fact that the only bench player was Landry Shamet to have more than double-digit minutes in this game is crazy. And another thing that is what's giving me concerns about my pick is also that the Suns played really solid offensively. Kevin Durant, 27, solid efficiency. Devin Booker, solid efficiency, 10 of 19 from the field. It's just that's a Devin Booker performance. Chris Paul was obviously not as efficient as you'd like. Still had 10 and 11 freak numbers. But I want to give credit to Zubac because Zubac, again, like I mentioned, so long as DeAndre Ayton is going to be on the court, is not going to get played off the court. And Zubac had a double-double, played extremely well. But really the story of this game was Kawhi Leonard and how unbelievable he was down the stretch of this game. Riv said it. He outplayed the big three of the Suns by himself. And just having a little bit more depth than the Suns is going to benefit, especially when Kawhi is playing at this level. Credit to Eric Gordon. You mentioned it too, Riv. He gave you some solid burn today. He shot 50% from the field. He one of his better games that I've seen from him in a Clippers uniform. Really solid game, especially when you need to come playoff time with Paul George not being around. You need someone that's going to step up. And you thought that it'd be Russ. Russ definitely struggled, but down the stretch, Russ locked in defensively, sunk his 2 free throws, had the biggest defensive player of the game down the stretch of the game. You really couldn't. You want a little bit more efficiency-wise, but hey, big players make big plays in big moments, and that's exactly what Russ did. You answer when the call is there, and that's what Russ did. But I'm close to flipping aside because this depth of the Suns is concerning, and the duo that you expect to score at a dominant pace was that tonight, and they still weren't able to get the win at home. So yes, again, I'm Andrew, so I'm not going to flip. However, this is the one I'm very close on, and it makes me think, what if Paul George played? It makes me think. It does, because maybe it's not going to be for this series. This series is going to be a great one. depending on how Ty Lue and Amonte make adjustments throughout this series. But maybe that next series, if the Suns do get past, maybe versus the Nuggets, that are a little bit more deeper team, a team that's played more games together. And that's another thing we didn't talk about, the lack of continuity that the Suns have had or haven't had as a unit now coming into the playoffs. Are we going to see that affect how they play in this playoffs? But it's going to be interesting. Again, I'm being very mindful. This is the one series that I am very, very, very strongly contemplating flipping.
The Suns have more of a dynamic duo than a big three.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
More off name alone.
Off name. That's why I said the big three. It's Chris Paul. He had 10 and 11, 10 assists, 11 rebounds, other way around, whichever way it was. But you want him to be more efficient. 2 of 8 from the field is not moving anyone. But that's not his role. His role is to facilitate, and that's what he did. And that's why it's even more shocking that the Clippers were still able to outscore them. And really, it just comes down to Kawhi. I felt strongly Kawhi could get you 2 games. He's great enough. He is that great that he could get you one of those 2 games. But the lack of depth is concerning for a long-term run for the Phoenix Suns.
I don't think depth is the Suns' issue. First and foremost, some people, it was not just you, Drew, that were calling the Suns a super team. We're overlooking that lack of depth. But I think the real issue in Phoenix is that Monty Williams, I love him. I love what he stands for. But this guy is as big of a problem as any other player here, as any other coach. I mean, Damian Lee was shooting the lights out this year. One of the 5 best years in the sport, and you stopped playing him. The fact that he didn't play today and Landry fucking Shamet played 24 minutes is an absolute disgrace. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Landry Shamet might be worse than Marcus Morris. Like, he might be one of the worst rotation players in the league, and inexplicably, he is getting 24 minutes. I don't know what Landry Shamet does other than getting 2 easy runouts because he's playing next to KD and Devin Booker. You look down the bench, TJ Warren, your second best depth piece. He does not play at all. Yet in Brooklyn this year, he was looking like a borderline starter. Darius Baisley, who they acquired at the deadline to get some defensive versatility, they're not playing him. Torrey Craig, 9 of 12 in this game. He played well, but the Suns' issue number 1, I think, is the rotations because Monty Williams hasn't done a good job. But number 2, DeAndre Ayton's kind of giving me Ben Simmons vibes, where Ben Simmons for years just never improved offensively, and you want your guard to improve. DeAndre Ayton for years has been hyped up. He has so much skill, but defensively this year, he's been bad. He has not been a good rim protector. And to get out-rebounded in this game by Russell Westbrook speaks, look, DeAndre Ayton's a soft center. He gives me Andre Drummond vibes, but a way more skilled version where he always leaves you wanting more. DeAndre Ayton can be a top 5, top 3, top 2 player from his draft class because he has so much skill. He has fluidity, dexterity. He can get buckets. Not top 2. He's not better than Shea. Never will be. Or top 3. But what I'm getting at here is he could be one of those top 4 guys in the 2018 draft class, up there with playoff superstars if he actually had a consistent. He doesn't have a consistent motor. He doesn't play with consistent energy. And then on the glass, he is the Suns' issue. Where with Kevin Durant, you're not going to be a great rebounding team, so you're relying on him, but he has never had that dog in him. And I think for a team that really has no one that gets the rim off the dribble at all, you're looking for him to at least dunk the ball a little bit and not be so soft. I know he can do loop-de-doop-de floaters, and he makes those off.
Hit little middies.
It's an issue when those don't go in because DeAndre Ayton, for a guy that gets paid $155 million, fades into the background like no other. And for a Phoenix defense that moved off of Mikal Bridges and they don't have much depth, and Monty Williams is selling them, he's playing Landry Shamet, they need a lot more out of DeAndre Ayton. And for as much as people say, I can get you points and rebounds, I just think DeAndre Ayton is a points and rebounds guy. I really don't think he's a winning player. And that really irritates me to go alongside the Monty Williams stuff, dude.
Imagine they had Nick Claxton.
Claxton would be tough.
It's pissing me off.
Maybe we should include that in the KD deal.
Oh God,
Kogi should have got minutes, man. They needed his rim pressure.
Yeah. I was shocked to see him only get 7 minutes.
Yeah,
that was very strange.
Lost me with that one. I thought he was going to play a lot more, like a lot.
I thought he was going to start.
At least he played Josh Okogie, right?
Starting.
Holy cow!
Yeah, like he was starting down the stretch of the season. When we look back, honestly, I know I talked about it last episode. How this Suns team with KD 8-0, first in offense, first in defense, first in net. You look back, teams they played weren't that great. So I don't want to completely disregard it. But when you do go up against this Clippers team, like Riv mentioned even in the last show about their depth and Kawhi having a vintage Kawhi night, efficient 38, looking like honestly the best player on the court. It definitely brings up some weaknesses, as John mentioned in his previous point about in the playoffs, how that could be exposed. Not only was Kawhi great, I know we haven't given a ton of props to Westbrook. 3 for 19 is obviously not good, but down the stretch, I mean, he just made winning plays, impact plays. He had the 3 for 19, but 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks. That block on Devin Booker to basically seal the game, not only block him, but as the ball's going out of bounds, be able to catch it, throw it off Booker's leg, whatever, while Booker is arguing with the referee for a foul call. Just a moment there where Devin Booker kind of lost where he was, a moment that guy that's been to championship should know that you have to still be locked in even after you get your shot blocks. For the Clippers, though, outside of Kawhi and Westbrook, I think their depth really showed off. Eric Gordon played some great minutes. Norman Powell played some great minutes. Terrence Mann played all 12 minutes. He was in the closing lineup of that fourth quarter, played some good minutes there as well. So I'm not overreacting to this game. I still got the Suns. I think I predicted Suns in 6. I still feel pretty confident with that.
Suns in 5. You said Suns in 5.
I don't think I could have. I don't know. Regardless, whatever. Suns in 6. I did laugh at you for sure.
Apologize.
This game was back and forth. The Clippers went up, I think, around 15 in the first half. Suns came back in the second half. It was back and forth that fourth quarter, and then they kind of ran away with it at the end after that block. But I'm not overreacting to it. I still think Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are going to be able to be enough to get past this Kawhi team with role players who could be, they could miss some shots. There's going to be games Norman Powell's not hitting where Eric Gordon's missing. He went on 2 or 3 wide open threes he missed, and he hit a couple back-to-back. So I'm not reacting. I still think the Suns are the better team here. I trust Monty Williams to be able to get this rotation right, whether that's playing Josh Okogie more, whoever it might be, maybe not play Ish Wainwright or however many minutes he played him. But yeah, I still like the Suns.
I think I'm sorry. I'm sorry for cutting you off. Yeah, I'm sorry for cutting you off. I think though, like what I said before, like Kevin Durant struggled a little bit in the first half, but he was making great plays. He's being a playmaker, solid rebound. Devin Booker also took a minute to get it going. But like I said this before, and I don't know why Okogie didn't play. The Suns just don't have any bodies to throw at Kawhi. Like there's just nothing they're going to be able to do defensively to stop Kawhi. The most they can do is double team. He hits it out to a shooter, and if they make it, they make it. But in terms of Torrey Craig, Josh Okogie, Ish Wainwright, Landry Shaman, whoever you want to say, Monty Williams off the bench, the assistant coach. Like there is nobody that they have for Kawhi Leonard. And I think that's going to be a real life issue for them.
And that's why I thought Okogie would play more, because I think he's somebody that could match up against Kawhi. Obviously not stop him, but make it tough on him. The positive outlook for the Suns for game 2 is that I don't think they start slow again. Yeah. Game 1 in the first quarter, I mean, they were down by 15 at one point. I don't think they start that slow again. I think they come out ready to play. They kind of were lackadaisical. And I think the difference between the Suns and the Cavs is that the Cavs genuinely just don't have enough good players to play, where the Suns do. Like TJ Warren in Brooklyn was averaging 10 points, shooting 51% from the field, 33% from 3. He was good in Brooklyn. Terrence Ross with Orlando averaged 8 points, shot 38% from 3. And with the Suns this year in 18 minutes, he averaged 9 points and shot 35% from 3. For some reason, these guys are not playing. And I know Cameron Payne has an injury right now. I believe it's an ankle injury. But if he can come back in the series, that's going to be a huge spark for their bench, because he's somebody who has shown he can have a good performance in the playoffs. He's shown that before. So I think if they can solidify their rotation and have Cam Payne, get some TJ Warren minutes in there, some Terrence Ross minutes, they can get some more offensive firepower. I really worry about the Suns in a potential Denver Nuggets matchup, though, because I think the Nuggets are, you can argue they have the most continuity of any team in the NBA outside of possibly the Celtics or the Bucks. The Nuggets are right there. And today they blew the brakes out of the Wolves, and Jokic didn't even have a great game. Jokic had less than 20 points. Like, the Nuggets just really feel like a well-oiled machine. And
maybe it's more telling about the Wolves.
The Wolves are just mid.
There's a lot more talent in the Wolves' offense.
Yeah, I just feel like the Nuggets
scored 80 points. What the fuck?
The Nuggets versus the Suns might be a classic example of how sometimes we tend to favor star power over the team that has more continuity. And I think that's Nuggets right now. And the Wolves did score only 80 points, but Denver was a good defense. I understand
80 points is ridiculous.
No doubt. But Denver, although the Jokic defensive highlights get posted on Twitter and they go viral, defensively down the stretch, I think since February, they've had the 8th best defense in the NBA. So their defense has been very good. It's not like this defense is like the Kings. It's a bottom of the barrel and their offense is great. The Nuggets all around are a great team, and I think that got overlooked going into these playoffs.
The Nuggets were the best offense this year in clutch. 5 minutes or less within 5 points. And that goes to show when they flip the switch, they're not.
Yeah. Now, 3 more super chats and we'll end off the show. Christian Castillo. Why Riv be glazing the Knicks?
Just skip this one. I appreciate the donut, Christian. Show some respect
Christopher
to Riv,
D. Last super chat. When is the next full court pod? It's cool to see y'all collab with our YouTube communities, especially with all the guys that follow as well. The next one will be Wednesday, I believe, at 7 p.m. That's when the next one will be. But yeah, we'll be on there. It's every Wednesday. Now, NPC Santos. Also, if one of you guys don't like a video I make, just let me know and I'll delete it right away.
We like them all.
I love
you have full creative freedom, bro.
So right now,
respect the fucking Celtics.
So right now we have 900 viewers in this live stream. Before we go, make sure you guys like these streams so it pops up in people's YouTube channels and more people watch.
Subscribe to the channel.
Yes. Subscribe to the channel. I found an interesting stat, Drew. In the last 3 months, the last 90 days, 70% of our viewers are not subscribed to our YouTube channel.
That's so mean.
I'm telling you, bro, we gotta start telling people to subscribe to the channel. Not only should you subscribe to the channel, but once you subscribe to the channel, you should turn the notification bells on so that way you're notified every time we drop or we go live like we do now. Because if you weren't subscribed and you didn't have that bell on, you wouldn't have known that we were going live at almost midnight. So
tell a friend.
Tell a friend. It's very simple. Not only do you do that, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that Pick a Side is going live after these games. You know, we're dedicated to the ground. We're dedicated to y'all. We're dedicated to getting this content out. But you cannot get this content unless you're subscribed. And of course,
shout out to Mark Schaub, longtime subscriber. You guys rock. Shout out to Mark Schaub.
Dehls, are you
Mark, man? No, I'm upstairs.
And now Glenn, super chat. Shout out to Glenn. I always see Glenn, and I recognize Glenn.
I'm tired as fuck.
I recognize Glenn off of his profile picture, the blue, nice sky, the ocean. My pick for the finals is Nuggets versus Celtics. Thank you. And Glenn always leaves respectful comments. You know, Glenn is a Pick a Side commenter legend.
Yo, you live in my building, so I'm actually know you downstairs.
Oh, no, I'm in Maywood right now.
70% is not normal if you tell people to constantly subscribe. It should definitely be like a 50-50 split. Definitely. But make sure you guys like this stream up. You guys can follow us on Pick a Side Pod on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast. And follow our Twitter specifically to get updated on when we're going live on playback, because we'll be watching playoff games all playoff long on playback specifically. So make sure you guys like this video, you subscribe, and if you listen to our podcast, and even if you don't, go and rate our podcast 5 stars, leave a review. It always helps. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.